massive thanks to all of my supporting members and patrons. Thank you all so very much. Hello, good evening, and welcome to you all. Got a couple of super chats right off the bat in reverse order. We have a super chat from Mr. Gary Little for 10 of his finest dollars. Thank you, Gary. Saying, well, actually, perhaps I better save this for when Kyle comes. So I'll read it out in a minute. The other one is from Mr. 42. Super chat for €2. Am I buffering? I have had some issues today. Actually, I was on Flatsoil stream. He's had some buffering issues. I don't know if YouTube's playing up. Mr. 42, super chat for €2. Apparently, I'm supposed to sing it, but I've already forgotten the tune. What is proof? Baby, research me for more. That's all you get for €2, 42. I did my best, pal. I did my best. Oh, another super chat. Another one from Mr. Gary Little. 1 King 723. That sounds like a train timetable. Platform 1, King's Cross at 7:23. If God is omniscient, why does it know nothing of pi? Super chat for $5. Thank you very much, Gary. I shall put that to, I could say Flatsoil. It's not Flatsoil. It's Kyle Adams, who has been on this channel several times. I know Kyle, how should we put this? Kyle brings out different opinions in people. I've always found Kyle, I'm going to be open and honest, I've always found Kyle polite, easy to deal with, perfectly okay on a stream. I know that some people, and I'm not wishing to be rude, Kyle, hopefully you're listening in the green room, that some people find you disingenuous or deliberately misunderstanding, or even, dare I say it, dare, that you lie. But tonight isn't that sort of debate anyway. Tonight we're going to be talking about science and does it prove things? What is proof? So I'm going to get Kyle in, and then we've actually got a little video of Kyle's. It's only a couple minutes long, which I actually thought is quite a good intro to the subject. So let's get Kyle in. He's had a few seconds warning there. Hello, Kyle. Can you hear me? Hello, Kyle. He's on mute right now. Maybe he will. Oh, is that you, Kyle?
That's me.
Hey, hello. I don't know if you heard my intro. I was trying to be fair.
You're fine.
Yeah. You do engender opinions from people. As I said just a moment ago, I found you perfectly polite. I have no issues with you being on the stream. We've never had a cross or a nasty word either way, I don't think. But some people do think you're either disingenuous or deliberately misunderstanding, and some people said that you're lying about things. You know, hey.
Yeah, well, yeah. They say that about everyone. They even said that about Jesus. So what can you say?
I'm not going to go there. That's what I'm going to say. Background sound is a bit loud, says Now Opinion for 27 Swedish krona. I don't know what background noise there is. Let me just have a quick listen to the stream. If I just switch off the desktop a second so they won't hear you, Kyle, I'll have a quick listen. I've got it. I got it. Sorry, guys. What the background noise is the screensaver thing at the back. LCAR's making noise. Sorry, guys. In fact, I shall mute it because I haven't tinkered with it. And I am getting buffering. I'm getting buffering on my machine and on YouTube. I don't know what is up. Can you hear me okay, Carl?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Okay. Hi, Colon. Yeah, LCAR's. I've got LCAR's switched off. Kyle, are you getting buffering on the stream as well?
I'm just not with me and you on our chat, but I don't know about the live stream.
How's
There's a little bit. It's kind of, yeah.
Someone said I'm okay now. I'm just going to refresh my screen. Hopefully that will burst into life. That can help. I hope so, because that's not good. Okay, Well, we'll have to see how it goes. I think it's playing up at my PC end as well. Right, okay. So I do have a couple of super chats, Kyle, which I'll read out. So that second one was from Gary Little. 1 Kings 7:23. If God is omniscient, why does it know nothing of pi? I don't know if you have any thoughts.
I don't know why he would claim that it knows nothing of pi. So.
Nor do I. I don't know where it's come from, other than it's unless Gary, you got muddled up. It is it's not Kyle that's been declaring variable values for pi. I think that was Flatzoid. I think it might have been Flatzoid.
I don't know, but if there's no pi in heaven, that doesn't sound like heaven to me.
Yeah, people are getting stuttery behaviour here. I'm just. Hello, hello. Hopefully that's it. Hello, you can hear me, Kyle. Right, I'll give it a few seconds to I'm muted. Love the next generation. Yes, I know, no audio. Honestly, I think it's all come back though, has it? It's just a bit delayed there, Kyle. We'll leave it for a second. It's a silent debate, says Dr. Nimrod. Yes. Yeah, I can see sounds come through now. Thank goodness for that. Okay, so I don't know where we were, Carl. Oh, yes, I was reading you a couple of super chats, so I'll just do that. I read you the one about pi. There's a few coming, actually. So let's go back to the other one. Right, this was, I think, this is all asked about face, Kyle. We're doing super chats before we start. Gary Little, a super chat at $10, said, Kyle, without gravity in the equation, kindly explain how a parachute opens. I was always taught I fall down, go boom without a parachute. Why do I reach 125 plus miles per hour when I exit an aeroplane? I don't know if you have any comments there. I appreciate, but just before you answer, Kyle didn't come on expecting this, okay? So I will put these to Kyle, and if he wishes to answer, he can. If not, that's fine. Yeah, so do you have any thoughts about that, about gravity? Okay. Oh. Sorry, Kyle. I had you.
That goes for me and most of the globe busters as well. We call it electrostatic. It's the force that causes.
I don't know if you wanted to answer that again, Kyle, because I had you muted. Sorry about that.
Fine. So Kyle, I'm saying I'm not a gravity denier. I'm not a gravity denier. Neither are most of the globe busters. We all believe that there is a force that causes us to fall, and we don't say, "Oh, well, it's just your own density." I think Eric Dubay says that, and that's not us. So.
Okay, well, I'm glad it's not you, because Dubay's a particularly nasty piece of work, in my opinion. There we go. I've had a super chat for $2 from Anamorphic Mind saying, could Mr. Sensible be the next Max Headroom? No. I did have a video with me as Max Headroom.
Don't know who that is.
Yeah, no, it's a British thing. It was a supposedly computer-generated TV personality. It actually wasn't. It was a guy with strange lighting and makeup. But it was way, way back in the early 80s, before there was sort of computer-generated to quality that would be required. And the character was called Max Headroom, as in the thing you get on before you enter parking lots, Max Headroom, because the guy got killed. I think that was it. There's a background story. But if you don't watch British TV back in the 80s, not watch British TV back in the 80s, Kyle, then it's not going to mean much to you, I'm afraid.
Okay.
So no sarcasm. He doesn't. Sarcasm. I like that. Doesn't know who Max Headroom is, and that's not surprising. I would presume that most. All right, thanks, Angeloid. I should think that most Americans don't know who Max Headroom is. We can't hold that against you, Kyle. Not that. We can hold Flat Earth against you, but not you. Not you not knowing Max Headroom. So what I'll do, Kyle, just before we start, then, is I'll make sure. I'm going to make sure that you can see the virtual webcam. You won't get the sound, okay? And I'll play your intro, okay? Although I have just had yet another, thankful for this, super chat from Mr. David Oliver, who I've not seen for quite a while. I've had my 4th COVID jab and flu jab today. Feel a bit tired, and my arms are numb. May fall asleep soon. Pleased to see you again, Mr. S. You too, my friend. Hope you're well recovered after that hospital scare. Yeah, it wasn't a scare. It was pre-planned. It's been a year in the waiting, and there'll be another operation coming up in a few months' time. As for me, yeah, I'm okay. I've actually got quite a bit of pain. I'm dosed up on opioids, which probably isn't helping with me making much sense tonight, but there we go. Yeah. So let's play your intro video then, Kyle. It's skipping frames again. I don't know what's up with this. It's only 25% now. I've had this happen once before. I've got nothing running apart from the stream, Discord, and the desktop Streamlabs. Yeah, so sorry about the lagging, guys. It does seem to be my PC. Let me just have a look at the task manager, see if it tells me what it's doing.
Or your internet, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't think. No, I think it's actually on my PC that's the problem. Performance is running at 50, 60%. What the hell is it doing? No, it's only the stuff. There's Discord, the browser, camera, and Streamlabs desktop. So goodness knows, guys, we'll just have to try and live with it. See what happens. I don't know what the issue could be, and I will investigate another time. Is the sound all right, though, guys? Even if the picture's lagging, can anyone confirm if the sound is okay? Because if that's
sound great to me.
Yep. So that's it. That's the other thing. It's got. I'm pretty sure it's the Streamlabs. I wonder if I've got the quality set way too high or something like that. Audio good, video
Discord
bad.
Server?
I'm sorry, mate.
It's the whole Discord server itself.
I don't know if it's Discord. I don't know. But Patothi3 says the audio's good, video's bad. I understand that. Weird. Okay. Well, I think because I don't think I can adjust the broadcast settings no, I can't change it while it's live, and I don't really want to kill the stream just to do that. I think we'll just have to go with it and see what's what. Just the video is bad. And my volume is way lower than Kyle's. Okay, let's swap that a little bit. Kyle, can you just say something so I can check your volume?
Oh, the earth is flat.
Okay. Right, we'll go with that. So what we'll do is we shall... Oh, what's this? Check control panel, hardware and sound, power options hasn't randomly switched to power saver. And as you are pumped full of opioids, how are you going to drive home any points with Kyle? I don't know. Let me just try that control panel thing. This is what's diagnosing my PC on a live stream. That's interesting. Yeah, actually, even just moving the windows around, it's all jerky. That's really weird. Hardware and sound, power options. What's this? Change power saving.
Oh, your laptop isn't plugged in, maybe.
I'm sorry?
Laptop isn't plugged in, maybe.
I'm not on a laptop. Right, I've got two options: 3XS overclock and power saver. Power saver is not selected. I don't know what 3XS overclock is. Oh, that's just turning the display off after 30 minutes, putting the computer to sleep. Oh, advanced. What's this? Oh, yes, it was 3XS overclock, but there's balanced, high performance and power saver. Anyone know what I should be selecting? 3XS overclock, balanced, high performance or power saver? I'll try balance for now. People can let me know if oh, it seems to be working a bit better there, so we'll see if I burst into life. Oh, okay. All right, Kyle. Sorry, my friend. Let's try your video then, okay? Although now I don't know what's going on here. Let's give it a try. Oh no, it says 93% frames skipped over the last 2 minutes. Balance should be fine, says Ion. Oh my goodness. Anyone else have any possible explanations? Because I don't. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to switch off the background as well, so it's not playing that video. So that's going to help a little. Anything but power save. High performance is JJ Grijalva. Hopefully I got that right. Feed the dang hamsters. Yeah. Well, right now, yeah, even my camera here is juddering. That's really weird. Yeah, won't be able to see the video. We've got to get this fixed, haven't we? High performance is suggested. Let's go for that. Really, really strange. That's just what I didn't need tonight, Kyle.
Yeah, sorry. There's nothing you really can do about that.
No. What's this?
Things happen.
Yeah, it happens. Power options, power saving. Oh, hold on. It's back on this 3XS overclock. Show additional plans. Did it not? So why didn't it? Advanced. Try high performance. Okay. So it's still 3XS overclock. Goodness knows what that is. And there's no save option available. I haven't got any unnecessary apps running. That's the thing unlocked. I only had... let's just call up Task Manager again. Only had... right, applications running. Edit plan settings. The video camera, Streamlabs desktop, the browser and Discord. That is all the apps I've got running. Of course, there's 10,001 processes, so knowing which ones are those to kill. Oh man.
Still think it could be Discord.
I don't know. I mean, it might be, but my OBS is dropping frames. It's dropped 93% over the last 2 minutes. Now that wouldn't be an internet problem, would it? It would drop frames on the actual broadcast, but it should be running fine on my PC. Well, I don't know what to do, guys. Maybe a good old punch will do it. Yeah, it could be. What CPU? I can't remember, but it's got its maximum RAM. I'm not sure what it is, 32 or 64 gig. I can't remember. Sort by CPU usage. Okay, guys, and you can tell me if any of these things is something I shouldn't have. Processes, sort by CPU. Come on. 27%, 28% Discord, 7%, 5%. I'll tell you what, I'm going to switch off the camera to Discord, so you won't be able to see Kyle, and see if that helps at all. But I don't know. I could try killing Discord, and I'll try killing Kyle. Maybe that'll help. It was as soon as I opened a video, make sure hardware acceleration is off. Hardware acceleration where, Beaver Zero? Hardware acceleration on OBS? Because I've not played any video. I'm stumped. I don't know where this hardware acceleration and see what happens. No, it started jerking again. I'm going to switch off the camera.
Blinking a lot too.
Sorry?
That it was blinking a lot too. I don't know why
yeah,
it was flashing.
This is really weird. Really, really, totally weird. Oh, guys, it looks like I'm back. When I rebooted OBS, it was beautiful. But now it started jerking again. Yes. It's better than it was, people are saying. Well, let's go for it, because otherwise we're not going to get anywhere. We've been running, for goodness sake, many weeks. We've been running many weeks. Right, let's try your video, Kyle. Okay.
Okay.
And let them have a look at this. Oh, here we go.
People love to ask me, do you have any scientific proof that the Earth is flat? To that, my answer is, I have many strong evidences that convince me that the Earth is flat, such as being able to see too far and my fish tank laser experiments. However, whether or not you would consider those to be proof entirely depends on whether or not you think science can prove anything. I know Forbes.com did an article saying science doesn't prove anything. So if you stand with that whole philosophy, then you've got to say there is no proof of anything. There is no proof that the Earth is a globe, and you're going to likely say there is no proof that the Earth is flat. And if you don't believe science proves anything, then why are you even asking me this question? For me, science is all about proving things. It's about putting things to the test. That's what proving means. When I hear in the Bible it says, "Prove me now herewith, and see if I will not open the windows of heaven unto you, and pour you out a blessing that there be not room enough to receive it," that's saying, put me to the test. And there are many tests that we can do concerning the shape of the Earth, such as the fish tank laser experiments. And that's what I'm all about. So tell me, do you believe science proves anything?
Right. Hopefully, guys, you could hear all that. Kyle and I can't because it's coming through OBS. I can see him still dropping frames, but it's about 25% rather than 94%. So hopefully there was enough of it. So, Kyle, science, proof. Tell me, what is proof? Why do you think science proves things?
That's what the whole objective is to test things. That to prove means to test, as I just said, and yeah, so as long as science is testable, that means it's provable by the dictionary definition of the word.
Well, we are talking science, but testing something doesn't mean you've proven something, does it?
One person in the chat was saying something about math proves things, right?
Yes, yes.
You say math. Okay. Well, math is science. That's just what it is. It's science is by definition just the collection of knowledge. It's just systematized knowledge in general.
Yeah, but we're talking about things like I don't know, if you were testing, testing a hypothesis for something or other. I mean, you don't prove it, and the idea of science isn't to prove it. You try and destroy the hypothesis. You try and prove the hypothesis wrong. So that doesn't prove it.
You're saying that you're in the camp of there's no proof of anything when it comes to science?
Well, the idea of science isn't to prove anything. Science, the whole point with science is you can correct it. So if I came up with an idea, I came up with a hypothesis and a prediction, and I tested it, and the tests all held and seemed to support my hypothesis, we could say, okay, that's good. That is the current state of science. We believe that that is the best explanation for X. And then you come along and say, but have you thought of this? And if it is true, then we could test it by doing that. And we run your tests, and we find that your tests hold true, and which is a better explanation than mine. My idea, my explanation for whatever the scientific observation was, turns out to not be the best explanation, because with yours tested, it fits better. So I had originally tested mine, it held true. So if I had considered that as proven, how could yours be then proven and a better fit if mine was already proven? Mine's just a good fit. Your scientific idea was a better fit.
So you're claiming that there is no proof of a globe right now, is that right?
Well, we did have that brief discussion, didn't we? I would say that scientific evidence so far supports the Earth being a globe, and it hasn't been contradicted. And based on the scientific evidence we have, it would seem to be the very best explanation. Now, I think it's a damn good explanation, and I can't think of many, if any, ways it could be shown to be wrong. However, science always has to hold out that possibility. You could come around and say, but if it was a concave Earth, all those things we see would still hold true, plus this would hold true. And here's a test to see if it's true. We do your test for a concave Earth that turns out to support a concave Earth. I can't explain it. Your explanation explains all the observations that I can see, like sunrises, sunsets, and eclipses, and goodness knows what else. Then yours becomes a better explanation. And so we would have to throw out the idea that Earth is a globe, and at that point go with it being concave. But you're going to need some pretty damn good evidence, because the evidence for a globe Earth would appear to be rock solid. I say appear, because as I said, there's always a possibility it could be shown to be incorrect. Now, Pinion, member for 29 months, your video is painfully laggy. I'm sorry about that now. I shall... Yeah, 97% frames dropped. I'm so sorry, people. We're just going to have to carry this on voice. I will switch off the background video just in case that helps. So, so that's what I would say, Kyle. The globe would appear
acknowledging...
Well, to summarise, the globe would appear to be the best explanation for the observations we've got and for the tests we've made, but there's always the possibility that a better explanation could come up.
There is no proof of a globe, and on your terms.
Scientifically, there's no proof of anything.
Okay, so that's kind of where I disagree with you on that matter, just because proof is test. That's kind of part of the dictionary definition of proof, is anything that's testable. And if you're not getting any kind of results from your tests, then every test out there is null and void. It's meaningless.
No, I am getting results from my test, but we may not have thought of something, something else that may be valid. I'm actually just going to open up a document because I did come up with a couple of thoughts about this earlier, and then I forgot to open my Word document. Apparently the audio is fine. Thanks, guys. So sorry about this, and I will give this computer a good seeing to tomorrow. So here's one example, Kyle, because ideas can appear to be good and can have evidence supporting them. Okay, so there was the miasma theory of disease causation. People could get sick for no readily apparent reason without touching other people or whatever, but they become sick, and the thought was it was caused by miasma, which was, quote, unhealthy or polluted vapours rising from the ground or from decomposed materials. And that's an explanation. If you were sick and I sat in the same room as you, could it be the bad air? That was the thought. And so I would become sick because I shared...
That does kind of sound like fungal spores right there.
Well. It was bad air. That was the thought. Scientifically, at a basic level, yeah, we tested it. You have two people. One sat in a room with a sick person, they become sick. One sat in a room without a sick person, they don't become sick. So there's some evidence to support it. It's the air. Okay? And they sort of followed that from about the year 400 BC with Hippocrates right up to 1880. That was considered the best explanation. Then they came up with germ theory. And of course, with microscopes on that, you can see all these microscopic organisms which they couldn't see before. There's better evidence. And they threw out the idea of miasma, and germ theory holds. Now, it's possible that there's a better theory than germ theory for why I would get sick if I sat in the same room as you and you're coughing and spluttering. But right now, it's pretty rock solid. So there's one idea. I mean, for all those years, miasma theory was the best theory. So that's the theory to go with. Because let's face it, if I didn't go in the room with you while you were sick, I wouldn't get sick. And that was the explanation at that time.
You're doing a test. And prove means to test. So you're just proving something.
Well, no. So did I prove it was bad air? I didn't.
You just tested it.
I tested it by having one person in the same room as you while you're coughing and spluttering. They became sick. Another person in another room, they didn't become sick. So have I proven that it's bad air? I haven't. I've just proved... That's a bad word. I've just shown the results of that test that it makes a difference. If I'm sat in a different room, I don't get sick. If I'm sat in the same room, I do get sick. They thought it was the air. It turns out not to be, because you could be sat in the same room and wearing one of those protective outfits. You wouldn't get sick, but you're in the same room.
Okay. So I think there's a difference here in the word prove. And so there's the prove, which is an ongoing process. That means there's no end to the testing that is involved, and so you're continually proving something. That's one kind of prove, but then there's also kind of the finish line kind of prove, and I think you're kind of trying to say you don't believe in the finish line kind of prove, where, okay, you cross the line, it's all done, there's no more debate about it, no more questioning it, or anything like that. It's over.
Yes, because that's scientific. That would be prove in scientific terms. That would be, that's it, it's done, dusted, there can be no other explanation. And that's not science, because science always has to allow for the possibility of another and better explanation. That's the beauty of science. It's self-correcting. So that miasma idea was a good idea, and yeah, if people kept away from each other and so on, they're a lot less likely to get sick. Unfortunately, that wasn't the whole cause, because, for instance, there are people getting sick with I forgot what it is, that's spread by malaria, spread by the what's name insects, mosquitoes. That's it. So that's nothing to do with air, and they might not have bothered. Well, why have I got sick? I know I've been bitten by mosquitoes, but I haven't been anywhere near Kyle. But so there were other vectors for the disease they just weren't aware of back then. So now science has come up, medical science came up with a better explanation. So the original idea, although it was good, it was not proof. It was tested and it held. The test, as far as it went, seemed good. It got results, which seemed to support the idea. That's great. That's the best they could do. That's brilliant. But then at a later date,
I understand there are complex concepts out there that are harder to prove than other ones, but me, I like to say, got hair on my head. I can prove that it's there. That's kind of the basic foundation of reality. Is, I've got 5 fingers on my left hand. I have a left hand, and there's a lot of these really, really basic observations that end up being foundational. And so I often go for dictionary definitions. Okay, well, this is what that word means. And so, well, how do you know that's what it means? Okay, well, here's the dictionary. So I open up the dictionary so I can prove to you that this is what this word means.
But science is slightly different. I mean, we're always coming across, I'm not saying you, Carl, but we're always coming across people, a number of flat earthers who say things like, oh, gravity is just a theory. Yeah, a theory is the best and strongest supported thing in science. So
as you claim, it's not proven, so it's kind of a complex.
That's why it's called a theory. That's why it's called a theory, because it could always be overturned by something better. But that's the highest level.
And so, most you get out of anything, is what you're telling me, is faith.
I didn't say that.
Faith-based.
No. It's evidence-based. That miasma theory was evidence-based. According to all the evidence...
Faith is also evidence-based. So, but if there's no kind of finish line proof, then it's all faith-based because it could be wrong. You don't know for sure. You just exert a lot of faith in that because you don't know for sure. That's the difference between faith and knowledge.
Well, would you stick your fingers into a power outlet? I'm presuming not. Why? Because evidence that you're aware of, when you plug stuff in, it gets power. That's electric, and it's going to electrocute you. So you wouldn't stick your fingers in there. That's not faith. That's based on observations.
If I pick up a new one over at Home Depot that is not connected to any kind of power, there's no power coming into it, I've got no problem with that.
So I missed the very first part. Something about Home Depot?
If I walk into a Home Depot and pick up a new... they've got replaceable power outlets, and so, okay, well, I've got this new one. I'm going to go take it home and replace it old one because something happened to it. And so as long as it's not plugged in, I can stick my finger in there all I want, and I'm going to be totally fine.
Yes, but you know that based on observations. I mean, there was another example. I think, so I had the first one about miasma. I've got another example, which was all to do with the geocentric universe. Originally, the best scientific explanation for the planets and stars and so on moving was that the Earth was the centre of the universe and everything went round it. And Ptolemy proposed that the planets were moved around by several spheres, which would account for their movements, including he allowed for retrograde movements of planets. His ideas were actually so good that it could predict the movements of planets and things up to 1,000 years out. So it was a wonderful and amazing scientific belief. I'm using that word carefully, but it was a wonderful scientific explanation. That's what I'm really grasping for. But was it proven? Well, no, because at a later date, Copernicus proposed that the Earth and the planets actually orbited around the Sun, which also would fit, but he actually was not more accurate than Ptolemy. But it was when Kepler was able to explain that or discover that the planets orbited in ellipses, and with Newton's law of universal gravitation, that it all fitted. It would explain the speed changes of the planets, how orbits worked. Because we're orbiting the Sun, that explained retrograde motion of planets and so on. But even so, then they were talking about the Sun being the centre of the universe. And it wasn't until 1838 when a guy called Bessel actually took the first measurements of stellar parallax, he showed that the stars were actually a tremendous distance away, that at that point it was known that the stars couldn't be rotating around the sun every 24 hours. So basically, each of those scientific explanations, or even theories, were the best available at the time based on the evidence, and they made predictions, they explained the observations, but better fitting explanations came along until we end up with what we got today, which is we've got a heliocentric solar system, but our solar system, along with all the others, are rotating around the centre of the galaxy, and galaxies are drifting through intergalactic space, and the universe is expanding. Those are better and better explanations that fit the facts. Sorry, I'm rattling off, so please feel free to comment.
Okay, so you're saying at one time they believed one thing, and then they found some additional reasons to believe in something else, and so they started having a belief in something else, which you won't call as faith, but it is a belief of something that you don't really know. So I can describe what the word faith means and describe it that way, but you won't call it faith. It's kind of what you're telling me.
Well, it's not. I mean, if you can take a tape measure to something and show that it's 10 centimeters long, that's your observation. That doesn't require faith. That's a measurement. They took measurements.
I agree. That's my statement about I have a left hand. I can. That's for me. That's proven.
That's an observation. That observation is a fact.
Science is made up of observations. That's what science is at the core. At its core, science is systematized knowledge in general. It is observations. And so if you can take two observations and put them together, that's how you build a foundation to establish complex concepts on top of that.
Well,
that's how chemistry is made up. That's what
you have the observations. Like, for instance, every so often the moon gets eclipsed. It suddenly goes dark. Why? There's several explanations. You could say, it's a
complex concept.
Well, you could just say it goes out. It stops glowing. You could say it goes into the shadow of the Earth. You could say something else has gone in between it. There's lots of possible explanations. So you have to test those explanations and see which one explains it the best. And having calculated
a complex concept, and the more complex the concept it is, the bigger the foundation it needs to be.
Oh man, I'm sorry, I just noticed 99% frame skipped. Guys, if you can still hear my voice, I'm so sorry. So sorry. We might have to do this again. Carl.
Yeah, we can come back. We can think more about that. That's kind of...
I don't know what's going on
from you right now. Is this whole science is belief, as you're claiming it. Science is belief in different concepts that you don't really know.
No, for any given set of observations, you may have more than one explanation. So, for instance, just going back to the moon being eclipsed, I could say, well, I think it's possible that an object is getting in between Earth and Moon, or the Sun and Moon, so shading it. You could turn around and say, well, I think that every now and then the light of the moon just switches off so it can recharge. So we'd have to think of ways to test that. How would we test if it's the light of the moon? What evidence have we got? Well, for instance, one thing is looking at craters. Craters of the moon have shadows which lengthen during the lunar day and then lengthen the other way. Now, if that's a light source, why would you have shadows on it? It doesn't seem to fit.
Good question.
So the idea that the moon's light just went out would appear not to be a good explanation, because if it was a light, it wouldn't have shadows on it. So at that point, we might say, well, sorry, Kyle, your idea, it looks like it's wrong. Mr. S, your idea, you think that another object is getting between the moon and the sun. But not the Earth, some other object. Perhaps you go looking for it, and it just can't be seen. So there's nothing to support that. It's an idea, but there's no evidence to support it. then Clever Clogs comes along and says, well, actually, perhaps it's just gone into the shadow of the Earth. And we know how often the moon rotates. We know the angle of the inclination angle of the moon as it goes around. That would mean if the shadow of the moon projected out this distance, then at these time periods the moon would go into the shadow. You could calculate it and then say, so that means that on Friday the 17th of whatever next year it will happen again. So there's a prediction. So you wait until that date and see if it happens. If it does happen on that date, you can say, matey boy, that was a good explanation and it fits the facts, and you made a prediction and your prediction held true. That's the best explanation so far.
You don't claim it's proven?
No, it's not proven, because it could be that some mega gargantua beast comes and swallows it every month and then spits it back out. But we got no evidence for that right now.
Okay, so you just acknowledged that you have faith that that is the case.
No. I've just acknowledged that Matey Boy, with his idea of the moon going into the shadow, is a possible explanation. He provided a prediction of what would happen on a certain date. We waited until that date, and it happened. So that's pretty damn good evidence that he's correct. He could be wrong. There could be some other explanation. Let's test it again. When's it next going to happen? Well, it's next going to happen a week Tuesday.
That evidence is defined as proof. So if you're saying that there is evidence itself is defined as proof. It's the first definition of evidence is proof.
Proof of what?
That's just what we can. Let me open up the dictionary here.
Please do.
Okay. Dictionary evidence. That which tends to prove or disprove something. Ground for belief. Proof. Right there. The definition of evidence is proof. So if you're saying you have evidence for something, it is the same thing as saying you have proof of something. Conclusive proof. And so,
not even in court. I could have some evidence that Kyle raided his local 7-Eleven. And because I've got a photo of him, so there's some evidence. I've got a photo of you doing it, Kyle. Now it turns out you got a twin brother, and he did it. So I did have evidence that it was you, but it turned out not to be good enough, and it turned out to be your brother. So I did not prove it, did I?
There's different kinds of evidence here. There's convicting evidence, and there's non-convicting evidence. There's convicting proof. There's non-convicting proof. So there's kind of two things there. It's a little bit more odd than a lot of people give it credit for.
You just looked up what in some dictionary? Proof.
Word evidence.
Evidence. Try scientific proof. What does it say?
Scientific proof.
Yeah, just try it. Be interested to know, because I don't even know which dictionary you're looking at.
Okay. I'm just looking at dictionary.com. Scientific proof itself doesn't show up.
Doesn't exist, does it?
Yeah, it doesn't. Scientific proof itself doesn't show up in the dictionary on here, but I do have the word proof.
Okay, so that's interesting, isn't it? It doesn't have scientific proof, but go on. What does it say about proof?
Evidence sufficient to establish a thing is true, or produce a belief in its truth. So as long as you're producing a belief that it is true, then that qualifies as proof.
But it's not okay. But going back,
convicting. It's not convicting proof. But
going back to my example when I was talking about Ptolemy, Copernicus, and Kepler, and so on, and Ptolemy thought that the Earth was literally the center of the universe. Everything went round it, and with his model,
Eratosthenes, if he actually existed, he would have believed that in a geocentric universe.
I'm talking about Ptolemy. I don't know what Eratosthenes' beliefs were about that. The only thing I know about Eratosthenes was his experiments with the well and the sticks and the shadows and whatnot. But Ptolemy, with his ideas of these various spheres actually moving the planets around, he built up a model, an explanation that was good enough to predict the movement of the planets up to 1,000 years out. That's pretty damn good. That's a lot of evidence that he was right. Only he was wrong. So, if he came forward...
You're saying he was wrong.
Yes. Yeah,
and that sounds like you've proven he is wrong.
No. We have evidence that the planets don't move in circles; they move in ellipses. He didn't know
so
that.
He thought that he's wrong.
Right, he thought that they moved in perfect circles. He came up with a model with various adjustments and things to allow to have things like the retrograde motion of planets, because if Earth was the centre, how else would retrograde motions happen? So he came up with these things called epicycles. But his predictions were good enough to work for up to 1,000 years out. So if someone came up with an idea, I'll explain the movements of the planets, here you go, this is the explanation, and look, it's correct up to at least 1,000 years out, you're going to say, that's a pretty damn good explanation. So are you saying
you don't know it's true, you just think it's true, and
well,
could be wrong.
We're
got the open door.
Kyle,
I could be wrong about this.
Kyle, today, you and I, nobody knows how the planets move. Ptolemy comes up to you and I and says, look, here's an explanation, and I can demonstrate that it's accurate up to 1,000 years out. I'm going to say to him, that's pretty good. Well, I don't know. I thought they were whizzing around on strings or something. But that's a really good explanation. You've come up with evidence. You've come up with a prediction. You've tested it. Are the planets where you say they'll be? Yes, they are. So that is now the best scientific theory. But then we find out it's not quite right. It's like with the movements of the planets. We got Newton's laws of motion, which explain elliptical orbits and how the ellipses actually precess over time. Yeah. So if you imagine it as an egg shape, basically over time the egg starts pointing in a different direction. So it precesses slowly around the sun. That all worked, but not for Mercury. Mercury actually would slowly get ahead of itself. So his laws of motion actually fitted the movements of all the planets, but not Mercury. So where do we go? It was the best explanation we had. But then Einstein came up with theory of general relativity with the mass warping space-time, and showed that the sun would warp space-time and it would affect the speed that Mercury's elliptical orbit precessed. And it matched, I forget exactly what, but within a few milliseconds or whatever. So he came up with a better explanation. Doesn't require belief.
So proof, definition 3, is the act of testing. It's the act. You're not completed yet. It's just the act of testing or making trial of anything. So as long as it's testable, that is provable.
But that means if I test, I'm trying to think, anything. If I test if this apple is made of cheese, the act of testing it proves it. I mean, I don't. Or are you saying it proves or disproves?
The act of testing. Okay, that is it. The definition. Yeah. The act of testing. So you are testing it. That is the act of proving it. Is this apple made of cheese? And so it's not. It has nothing to do with the result of the test. It's just act of doing it. It's a verb.
Well, I think that's I'll be honest and say I think that's a strange definition, because the colloquial version of proof is, I have shown evidence that shows that you did something. I've proven that that's the case. That's your normal everyday speak for the word prove. But science doesn't prove. You come up with an idea or an observation, you come up with an idea to explain it, you test it to see if you can break your idea. And no matter what you've done, you can't break your idea. So it looks like a good idea until someone comes up with a more accurate and better explaining idea. I'm going to just quickly read a couple of super chats, if I may. I've had one that's back from a little while from Now Opinion for 65 Swedish krona. Thank you, Now. With regard to my PC issues, which now says skipped 100 frames over the last 2 minutes. Blimey. Says, I'm not a Windows user, but I know that you need to reboot at any time you have the slightest problem. Yeah, I think I need to give it a reprogramming with an axe. One here for you, Kyle, I think, from someone called Ted Lacoca. I hope I said that right, Ted, for $4.99. Kyle Board claims peer review suffers bandwagon fallacy. Oh, Kyle's board, that must be your discussion board, claims peer review suffers bandwagon fallacy. Is proof different? Kyle, please explain why both don't block furthering discussion or revision. Is that something you're aware of? For those who don't know, Kyle has a discussion board. Is that what it's talking about, Kyle?
So I have okay. My discussion board talks about every single video I post. Every single video I post gets put up on my debate board for public review, or peer review. So we had a discussion about peer-reviewed articles, and so I've got a peer-reviewed article on this whole topic itself. It didn't make it into the video, unfortunately, but I do have it, and I can send you a link if you would like. And
well, is this to your discussion board?
Yeah, my debate board. Gentle reminder that a hypothesis is never proven correct, nor is a theory ever proven to be true. And this is coming from the Journal of College Science Teaching.
Hold on. A hypothesis and a theory is never proven to be correct. Is that what you just said? Is that what you think?
Is the title of this peer-reviewed journal article.
Right, okay, because that's basically what I'm saying. Science doesn't prove it. It doesn't prove the hypothesis correct. You've tested it, and you have not shown it to not be you haven't shown it to be false. You haven't falsified it. So it's still holding true. That doesn't mean it's proven. And the same with the theory. The theory of evolution is a damn good theory. You may or may not agree with it, but there's a damn good theory with lots of evidence pointing towards it, like fossils and DNA evidence and so on and so on. And right now, that's the best scientific explanation for the development of life.
You're claiming that it hasn't been proven to be true.
No, that's right. It hasn't. It's a theory. But that doesn't mean...
You have faith in.
No, that doesn't mean only a theory. A theory is the very, very strongest thing. It's got so many facts, indisputable facts supporting it, that as a whole, it would seem to be the very best explanation. And to date, no one has shown evidence that it can't explain. No one has shown evidence of it being incorrect anywhere.
Faith, by definition, is a belief that is not based on proof. So you don't believe in any kind of scientific proof.
Yeah, so say that again, please, Carl.
Faith, by definition, is a belief that is not based on proof. And you just told me that you do not believe in any kind of scientific proof.
Faith is that... I mean, I think this is a yes and no, Kyle. With regard to religion, I would say, and I'm not going into religion now, but with regard to religion, I would say people have faith in the religion, that they accept or believe in one or more gods, but they're not relying on testable evidence. They have a faith. And, I haven't, but okay, fair enough. But with science and... the natural world and inventions and things like elevators. Would you go in an elevator? Yeah, because they've tested it. They have brakes if the cable fails, so the actual carriage, whatever they call it, the lift cannot drop 100 floors because brakes would engage. So I have no worries. I'm scared of heights. I had no worries going up the Burj Al Khalifa recently to 154 floors.
Here's the example that it provides, okay? Here's the example of this word of faith in a sentence. He had faith that the hypothesis would be substantiated by fact. So this is referring to a hypothesis. And this is dictionary.com. Dictionary.com.
Yeah, but you're just using dictionaries. I mean, if I've come up with...
the foundation of communication. That's how we are able to communicate. Of course, I'm going to use dictionaries.
Yes, but that's not science. Science has different terms. In any field, you have specialist terms, which, the lingo or what's that? I forgot what the word is.
Science is systematized knowledge in general. And are you saying that a dictionary is not systematized knowledge?
I'm saying that any field, whether it's a scientific field, an artistic field, or whatever, has its own specialised terms. Like the word theory, like I have a theory that Kyle has children, and that theory is based on the fact that I've seen him in a couple of videos. I've heard him mention of his wife. I've seen him with a young girl who I'm assuming is his daughter. So that's my theory. I've got, Kyle, have you got a child? And you'll say yes or no. But a scientific theory is something different. A scientific theory, you have to have immense amount of evidence, lots of hypotheses for various aspects of it, like with evolution. Well, how would bones get fossilized? What would happen if they were buried? They would be buried in this order and so on, but you could get geological things which disturb them. You'd have DNA evidence and so on. You come up with lots of hypotheses that could be tested, and they all point the same way. It's like the whole
testing that's proving by the dictionary.
No, because I could test it and find I was wrong. So how have I proven it?
That's proving it. That's proving it to be wrong. So you're proving
it.
So
you're
saying right or wrong.
I think I know where you're coming from. So you're saying if I test something, I'm either going to prove that it's correct or I'm going to prove that it's incorrect. Is that what you're saying?
Or you can prove that the results are inconclusive. But the whole idea is you test something to look for any kind of observations. And so I often like to provide an example. A really basic test, is, do cats eat food? You're telling me that you cannot prove that cats eat food. This is a scientific test.
Scientific test. Well, okay. So you'll have to get a number of cats, put some in a room with no food, and see if they die. You could get some other cats that appear to eat food, but they're allergic to it.
Just say one cat. We don't have to do all that. I can make it as very simple as I can. Just trying to come up with the most basic of tests. Okay, cats eat food. What you're telling me right now is that it is impossible to for science to prove that cats eat food. That's utterly impossible. That's what this peer-reviewed journal is saying. That's what the consensus is saying. That's what I've got. Forbes magazine, Scientific American, all these other people that I pointed out in my video. They're all saying science never proves anything. So
that's
all
correct.
Telling me
that's correct. So
it's impossible to prove that cats eat food.
Right. So with your cat example, if you were running that as a scientific experiment and you've only got the one cat, how would you do it? Would you just put the cat in a room with some food and see if the food disappears?
That's one option. There's a lot of different ways.
And perhaps you got a camera pointing on them as well, and perhaps you got someone looking in the window to see if the cat chews up the food and the food disappears. Okay, right. So you've had an idea.
Watching the food go into its mouth, I could put a camera in the food. Okay. There's different ways to do it.
Okay, so you've got this observation. Hey, food's disappearing and I've got a cat. I think cats eat food. So you run your scientific test. You put the cat in the room with a bowl of food. You've got someone watching through a window. You've got a camera, etc. And you go and check it every 24 hours and then suddenly find that the food is gone. And your person who's watching said, I saw the cat shove his face in the bowl, and when he lifted his face out, the bowl was empty. The camera shows the same. You look at the bowl and the bowl is empty, okay? And you look at the cat and the cat's licking his lips and has breath that smells of tuna or whatever the hell it is. So you now have some massive evidence saying cats eat food. All that evidence.
You can even open up its stomach and find the food in its stomach.
Yes, it's getting a bit icky now, but you could do that. Right. So, you have at least 4 and maybe 5 if you cut your cat open, bits of evidence that say cats eat food. So your hypothesis is looking pretty good. Your test did not throw out your hypothesis. Now,
You're claiming I can't prove it? That's not proven? If I can find the food in its stomach?
I'm saying that your hypothesis that cats eat food looks good. It looks good, doesn't it? Because all the things you saw with your experiment, all the tests appear to evidence that cat has eaten the food. So that is really good. That's a strong hypothesis, and maybe we could come up with some other hypothesis that we could test that could make it strong enough into being a theory that cats eat food. However, I'm from the 25th century, and I can tell you, I've just been back from the 25th century, and I can tell you that cats actually place their faces above food, and the food gets transported into their mouths and then their stomachs. Now, okay, this is silly, I know, but possibly that could happen. There is another explanation that you and I haven't thought of. However, I would say, Kyle, that your cat food hypothesis, with all the testing we've done, looks pretty damn good, and we could even call it the theory of cat eating. And that's really good. So that will now be the current state of science, because no one has shown that you are wrong, Kyle, right now. Nobody has shown you are wrong. So that is the current theory. It's the best explanation. We have bowls of food, and we've got happy cats, and then empty bowls of food, and the cats are still alive. Everything points to the fact that that cat eats food, and that's great. Now, scientifically, you'd have to be open to there being another explanation. An invisible doodah came in and stole the food while you weren't looking. Now, it's not likely. There's no evidence for that. And maybe if someone could provide evidence of that happening, then we'd have to throw out your cat food idea. But right now, that's now been upgraded, Kyle. That is now a theory. But it could still be wrong. That would be scientific.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, by the way,
you're just going around beating around the bush, telling me that you don't believe it's proven that cats eat food. That's really what it boils down to.
Well,
it's not proven. It's not a fact. It's just.
It is a fact.
Theory.
Okay. Turing Test 2. Thank you, Turing Test. Member for 25 months posts his free message saying scientific ideas can be falsified but not proven. So, as I said, if I had a special X-ray machine which saw in a different wavelength, and while that cat's face is just placed over the bowl with someone watching and a camera watching, an invisible doodah did come in, swiped the bowl, and replaced it with an empty bowl, and rammed the food down your cat's throat really, really quickly. I've now got that using my super duper X-ray machine. That's the explanation. That is now a better idea than yours. We can see it happening. So possibly your idea. I mean, I know we're talking with silly examples here, Kyle.
So to take into one's mouth, to swallow for nourishment, chew and swallow food, that's the definition of eating. So if it's going into its stomach, if it's chewing on it, that's all eating.
I've tried to go with your cat example. I mean, perhaps there's other ideas which I can't think of, which may be a better way to go through this. But my point is,
now,
Kyle,
I understand there's a lot more complicated matters out there.
Yeah, and we want something simple.
Concepts, and they're a lot harder to prove, but I'm going with the very basic. The very, very basic. Cats eat food.
Yeah, and as I said, that was a reasonable explanation for suddenly finding empty cat bowls in that room. You come up with a thought, hey, cats eat the food. We come up with a test. We have tested this hypothesis, and found that all the evidence appears to support your hypothesis that cats eat food. There is nothing to the contrary of that. No one has shown the invisible doodah. No one has shown a time traveller coming and transporting the food into the cat's stomach. Everything looks good. You've got a great hypothesis, Kyle. Cats eat food. We're going with that as a theory. Unless there's a better explanation comes along. I can't think of one.
You don't believe it's proven?
It's not proven, because possibly someone could come up with a better theory. I can't think what that is. If I could think what it is, I'd say, hey, Kyle, it could be this. Let's test it and see if my theory is better than yours, and I'll get the Nobel Prize for cat food. But right now, I can't think of a better theory, possible explanation, hypothesis. So your hypothesis...
And you believe this just because of a peer-reviewed article said so?
No, I believe... I hate using the word believe, Carl, so don't take it out of context with you. I accept it, believe it, because that's what science does. We've got an observation, in this case about cat food.
Can you prove that's what science does?
Well, we got an observation, we come up with an explanation, and developed a hypothesis and made a prediction, generated an experiment to test that prediction, and found that your prediction was correct. So, it's the best explanation. It's the best explanation.
It can be
That's
correct,
great.
but it's not proven correct.
Yes. It may be the one, the only explanation that will ever be put forward and evidenced to explain these bowls of cat food disappearing. You know, it may be that your idea will never ever be overturned, but it will never be proven. It will always be the theory of cat food eating, the very best explanation. Same with evolution, same with gravity, because there could be, I mean, Einstein came up with his theories of general and special relativity, which improved upon what was there previously and extended it. Now, someone could come up with better explanations for the observations, making better predictions than Einstein.
I should never ever be offended when someone says that there's no proof of a flat Earth, because they don't believe that there is proof for anything.
That's true. That's true. That's true. If you came up with a whole load of photos and an explanation for sunsets and eclipses and all the other things that us guys berate you guys about, if you came up with explanations for all of that were better explanations than the globe, then what could happen is we say, do you know what? We'll have to throw out the globe. You've got a better explanation, and flat Earth theory is at that point the best explanation. It becomes the theory, but it could be overturned by something better.
The difference between a good explanation and a bad explanation for me is the amount of proof behind it. And so what I look for is those basic concepts, the building blocks of concepts like cats eat food, and so I take a lot of these really basic, I think, to be indisputable arguments, but apparently doesn't convince everyone. There's going to be some people out there who deny that cats eat food.
People love to
science
ask
never
me,
proves anything. But
do you have any scientific
kind of
proof
how I work.
that the Earth is flat?
Finding those really
to that,
basic
my answer is,
observational things.
I have many strong evidences that convince me that the Earth is
flat. And then I build
flat.
off of that. That's how.
Such as being able to see too far,
complex concepts
and my fish tank laser experiments.
Well, I've just had another super chat.
Whether
I don't
or not
know what this currency is
consider
from
those
someone
to
called
be
KDoc,
proof
supports name
entirely depends
KDoc,
on whether or not you think science can prove anything.
With 2 lines through. I'm
I know
not sure what they are.
Forbes.com
But thank you for that, Kate.
did an article
it says,
saying
Kyle,
science doesn't
read
prove
a
anything.
basic 101
So if
philosophy
you stand
of science.
with that whole philosophy,
Jeez.
then you've got to say there is
that's
no.
I've got this
proof of
peer-reviewed
anything.
article right here.
There is no proof that the Earth is a globe, and you're going to likely say there's no proof that the Earth is flat.
Psychology today.
And if you don't believe science proves anything, then
well,
why are you even
that
asking
science
this
does
question?
not prove?
Yeah,
for me,
that's what they claim.
Well,
science is all about proving
I've just
things.
tried uploading
putting
an
things to the
image,
test.
but I'm hoping
That's
that
what
it
proving
updates
means.
on YouTube. It doesn't
When
seem
I hear
to
in the
be.
Bible it says,
I've got a quote for you
"Prove
from
me now
Mr.
herewith,
Albert Einstein.
and see if I will not open the windows of heaven
Kyle.
unto you, and pour
Albert
you out
Einstein
a blessing that there may
himself,
not
who
room
come up
enough
with
to
the,
receive it."
theories of general and special
That's
relativity.
saying, put me to the
general and
test.
special relativity.
And
He
there
said,
are many tests
no
that we
amount
can do
of experimentation
concerning the
can
shape
ever,
of the Earth,
ever
such as
prove
the fish
me
tank laser
right.
experiments.
A single
And
experiment
that's what I'm all about.
can prove me wrong.
So tell me, do
So-
you
You believe
science
that he
proves
could be
anything?
proven? That
Well,
something could be
I
proven.
think that he could be shown to be wrong. He could be shown to be wrong, but he could never be proven to be right.
So in order to prove something wrong, you also have to prove something else right. It's kind of a
Well,
two sides of the
no,
same coin.
no. To prove something wrong, you have to be able to prove something right. If I said you raided that 7-Eleven store yesterday evening in Wichita, and you could say, well, no, because here I am at home in whatever the town is you live with my wife. Here's a film. So I wasn't in Wichita. So you have but you've been able to dispute my evidence.
So-
You've come up with an alibi, and I can't crack that alibi. You were seen by a number of people to be at home and not in Wichita raiding a 7-Eleven. So have you?
Let's keep things simple here and just with the cats, okay?
Okay, we'll go back to cats. You like cats.
Cats eat food, okay? And you want to say, okay, well, that's proven wrong. Okay, well, now you have to prove a different theory correct. Okay, in order that different theory would be cats don't eat food. It's cats do eat food or cats don't eat food. So if you want to say my claim that cats eat food is wrong, you now have claimed that cats don't eat food, and you're saying that theory has been proven to be correct. So it's kind of, can't prove one thing without proving, or you can't say one is proven wrong unless you're proving a different theory correct. That's kind of two ends of the same coin.
Okay, I mean, if going back to our experiment, let's say you've been running the thing's just come up on the screen. You've been running that experiment for days and days and weeks, and never do you see the cat touch the bowl of food. It's never on film. The witness looking through the window has never seen it, and the bowl of food always remains full. So you have not shown that cats eat food, but you haven't proven that they don't. Perhaps they're getting their food, it's getting its food from somewhere else, I don't know. But you haven't proven anything. You've not been able to substantiate your thought. Your thought was that you're going to see that cat wander over, shove its face in the bowl, chomp away, food's gone, cat's got a full stomach. We've watched it for 6 weeks and nothing's happened. So it could still be correct. It could be that the cat's sneaking out at night and eating at the neighbour's house. You don't know. The point is, we've not been able to substantiate your explanation. So we should look for another explanation. How is it the cat's not dead? What's the cat surviving on?
Yeah, and that's kind of one of those things of you could pump its stomach or something like that. I don't know. There's different things you could do.
I don't know if you've got a beef with this guy Ted Lacoca. I don't know, but Ted Lacoca's super chat again, $4.99, said, if Kyle was the guy doing bloodletting, he would think it proven. Oh, I see. And where would medicine be? Yes, because they did used to do bloodletting, didn't they? And then they used leeches and so on to
still use leeches to this day.
They do still use, and even maggots as well. I've come across, not personally.
Oh, I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, to eat. Well, basically to eat rotten flesh, I think. But he's saying that if you were doing bloodletting, you do some bloodletting on someone and they get better, you consider that's proven. So that would be the end of science. All we'd do is bloodletting, and stop looking for better medicines and cures. Because you say, well, it's proven, bloodletting, that sorts it. Didn't sort him, he's died because, well, there's bad luck on him.
Okay, and that's where I'm talking about the finish line. And so one is the act of testing something, and so it's not concluded. To conclude means to end, to finish. Okay, and so it's not finished yet is to be inconclusive. But to say it's concluded, that means it has been completed. And so we have ongoing tests, which is the process of continually proving something. That's the difference. And so this whole thing with leeches, we've got leeches and we are continually testing that. Or we can say, oh, that test has been concluded and now there's no point to continue testing it ever. That's kind of
with science,
but both are proving.
Sorry, both are proven, did you say?
I said both qualify as proving. There's multiple definitions of the word proof.
Yeah, and the science. I guess the reason science doesn't use proof is
that 17 different definitions of the word proof.
Yeah, well, proof, I think generally means absolute. It's correct. Can't be changed. There is no better explanation. It is right, and so on.
It's established to be true. That's kind of.
Yeah, but
for me, that I just point out cats eat food, and I think that's an established fact. No one questions that.
Well, no, we were questioning it. That's why we were running our tests. That's why we were running our experiment. Do they eat food? And if we
can question it, questioning.
But that's science. That's science. So you must have had your original observation, which would either be something like, "Hey, these cats are alive. They're not dropping dead. I'm assuming they eat food to sustain themselves," or perhaps it's from the other way. I've put these bowls out and there's food in it and it's disappearing. I think my cat's eating it. Whichever way. So you've got one of those observations, and then you came up with the explanation. Your explanation, possible explanation, is the cat is eating it. So then we came up with the hypothesis that if we shut the cat in a room with food, we should be able to witness it eating the food. And we ran those tests. And we saw the cat shove his face in the food. We saw him chomping. We saw the bowl was empty. We saw the cat looked full and happy. So according to all the evidence, your idea, your thoughts that cats eat food appears good. You know. But
you don't accept it to be proven.
It's not proven, because proof means absolutely 100% cast iron guarantee. That is the explanation. And I've come up with some silly, because we're not talking about an ordinary situation, but perhaps the neighbour's dog comes in and snaffles the food. You know?
We just watched it happen, and that never happened. We actually watched the cat chew on the food and fit every single part of the definition of the word eat. Okay? To take into one's mouth, to swallow for nourishment. And so if you wanted to put your hand on its neck and feel the swallowing motion, you could do that. And yeah, you can also, as I said, put a camera into its food and watch it swallow the camera.
So all these thoughts you've got, things you could test, like feeling him swallow it and so on, that's more evidence. That's making your theory or your idea stronger and stronger. It's cementing your theory. So it's going to be even harder for me to show that you're incorrect, because you've seen the cat shove his face, you've seen the cat chomping, you've had someone watching, you've caught it on film, you've felt the cat's neck and you can feel him swallowing. Yeah, that's looking like a really, really strong theory. That's how it is with things like gravitational theory, germ theory, evolution, the theory of evolution, and so on. There are so many evidences pointing towards it that it comes, all these individual facts making your theory stronger and stronger. Cracking job. As I said, you're going to get the Nobel Prize for cat eating theory. That's great. But even so, to be scientifically honest, you're going to have to allow for the fact that perhaps, just perhaps, there's another explanation that you haven't thought of. I know, you say, well, how can that be? Because we've seen all these things. Absolutely. But that's exactly what people like Ptolemy thought with his circular orbits, with the Earth being the centre of the universe. All his evidence, when he came up with his possible explanation, all the evidence pointing towards him being correct. And it was very good, and it made wonderful predictions for up to 1,000 years out, until someone came up with a better idea that Ptolemy hadn't thought of, like elliptical orbits, and then Kepler's laws, and then Newton's laws of motion, and so on. All that came at a later point. And at that point, Ptolemy, if he was still alive, bless him, would have had to say, do you know what? Your evidence is better than mine. It's not circular orbits with Earth being the centre of the universe after all. It's not that cat eating the food after all. You have to be intellectually honest and allow that, even though the chance of it being thrown out is virtually nil. It could get to 0.00000 whatever 1%, but there's always that chance.
There's always a chance. Well, the common argument that everyone brings up is, how do you know you're not hallucinating it? Or how do you know it's not just a simulation? And
of course, you could do that, but you have to draw...
Someone can't go down that road without denying reality. And
no, I agree, Kyle. I agree. You could always use that, but in a way, although technically it's true, it's a bit of a get-out, because otherwise what's the point in anything? You have to draw a line somewhere and assume that there is a reality. Otherwise, it's just a waste of time. I'm aware of that, and I thought of that, and I haven't and wouldn't use that, because otherwise, it's a waste of time.
Yes. All right.
I have had a couple more super chats. One from David Oliver for £5. Thank you, David. Saying science is not about belief; it's about understanding. Flat Earth is just misunderstanding. And from Ted Lacoca again, And again, I do hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Ted. There's a couple from Ted, actually, for $1.99. What amount of time concludes the science, Kyle? Oh, is that when you're talking about... Well, actually, we could have that with the cat. You've done all these tests, Kyle, but there must be other tests that someone else could think of. What about if the cat and the food drop out of our dimension for a microsecond, and when they return, the bowl's empty? You know, I know you said about the feeling the cat's throat and so on, but there's all sorts of possibilities. What's the chance of that? I don't know. Have we ever come across things dropping out of our dimension? Well, no. So that's making that idea rather unlikely, but it's possible. So how long do you give it before you say, yep, that's it, the science is concluded, it's proven?
Well, yeah, I've got a cat. I can feel it, and so it's not going anywhere. I can feel it, and so there's different tests that I can kind of rule that out by kind of feeling the cat chew. I can watch the cat chew its food. I can see the food dropping out of its mouth even.
I tell you what, these super chats are coming in, so I've got a couple more. Again from it's just jumped up. Again from Ted. What if cats evolve or go extinct?
Okay, that's something that would happen, but that's not going to invalidate any of the observations I've already collected. And so I actually did flat earth biology, and I did a study of cats to see if they like the taste of chicken or tuna more. And that was
what about the other possibility? Cats are actually damn clever, really damn clever, Kyle. What if that cat is actually running an experiment on you, trying to fool you by, stuffing all this food in its mouth, so that you think that you've solved the mystery of cat food bowls, and when you're not looking, he goes and spits it out. He goes and spits it out in a corner. He's actually running a test on you.
It's still taking it into its mouth, so as long as it's doing that, swallowing that food, then in fact it is all definitions of the word eating.
And
it's
Ted
consuming it, devouring it, wearing it away, corroding it.
Ted again for $1.99 says, "Have you tested every single cat?" Again, Black Swan. Yeah, good point. Maybe your cat does it. No other cats do it.
There's an immortal cat out there that doesn't require any food. So I can... This is just an example, and so I can stick with just one cat instead of every cat. There's a difference between all cats eat food and versus this cat eats food. So
maybe it's only female cats. Maybe it's only female cats, and male cats don't eat food.
So... yeah, I think that's a good point about avoiding these kind of black swan type of argument, or these infinitive.
Well, actually,
we should avoid infinitive arguments, and we shouldn't make blanket statements and say all cats unless you can speak on behalf of all cats. And so that's just.
Well, it's actually quite a thought, because I forget I'm not sure if it's dragonflies or some creatures that when they metamorphose into their final form, they don't eat. They have no mouth parts. There are some, and they may not live long, but there are some creatures.
Look at plants themselves. Plants don't eat food because, unless you're a Venus flytrap, but does that really qualify as a mouth? Perhaps so.
Well, they are ingesting. They are ingesting,
so maybe that does qualify as a mouth.
And from Turing Test 2, a super chat for £5. Thank you, Turing. Kyle, proof. You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
That's why we have dictionaries.
Yeah, but like I said, there are different meanings of words, specialist meanings of word that are only applicable in the particular field, like some medical terms and scientific terms, engineering terms. I know I worked in IT. We had, there you go. Oh, there's a bug in the computer. Meaning there's a software error. But that's not, if you look up a bug in the dictionary, maybe it's more modern now, but it would have said, a creature that crawls and may have wings and, you know what I mean, an insect. But to computer programmers, a bug is a software error. Although, interestingly, the original bug was an actual physical bug that got in a computer and short-circuited it. But the modern meaning of a bug is a coding error of some sort.
Informal, a detect, or imperfection. Mechanical, as in a mechanical device, computer program, or plan. A glitch.
But if you looked up a dictionary back in the day, in the 60s or whatever, I bet it wouldn't have had anything about computer glitches. Because it was very special. Now it's become so commonplace. We all use computers. It's become a common term, so it's in the dictionary now.
Human communication is continually changing. So.
Yes, it is. And a dictionary is good for day-to-day and maybe even some... Sorry, Chris Durham, I don't know what it is you're saying there. I think it's a coca maybe. Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. I know little of these things of which you speak, Chris Durham Music Channel. So just going back to this, Carl, over the years, there's lots of ideas, scientific ideas, that were strongly held. I've just thought of another one. When they discovered that the universe was expanding, there were two competing theories. Either it was a Big Bang, it started from a point and rapidly expanded and is still expanding and cooling, or I think the guy's name was Fred Hoyle. He came up with this idea, or at least he pushed forward this idea of what's called the steady state universe, i.e. it's expanding and new matter is being created in its place. So basically the universe is just getting bigger, but it still has the same level of stuff in it throughout. And those ideas were around, I think, to about the 1960s, before the evidence was enough to show that the Big Bang explanation was the better explanation, and steady state theory has been dropped. Now it could be that there's a better explanation that we haven't yet come across. But Big Bang theory came up with predictions like the fact that there should be ripples in the background radiation. And I forget when it was. Was it the 90s? I'm not sure. They put up a satellite. I think it was called COBE, C-O-B-E, Cosmic Background Radiation, whatever. And they imaged the universe and could see the irregularities in the cosmic background radiation, which is what was predicted by Big Bang theory. That does not make Big Bang theory correct. It does not prove Big Bang theory, but Big Bang theory made that as a prediction, and it has been found. So it helps support Big Bang theory and makes Big Bang theory that bit stronger until you can come up with a better one.
But it's something that you don't believe has been proven. It's just...
Well, it hasn't, has it?
It's a belief in something that has not been proven.
It's accepting an explanation that all the evidence we have supports and none of the evidence we have contradicts, but there could be an even better explanation. Like I said, steady state theory. I'm not sure the percentages, but it was a big percentage. May even been 50-50 astronomers, cosmologists or whatever thinking, well, it's steady state or it's Big Bang. One of those has to be wrong. They could both be wrong, but at least one of them has to be wrong. So you keep thinking, well, if it was steady state or if it was Big Bang, then what would we have? Well, with Big Bang, one of the things they said is we would have variations in this background radiation. Let's measure it. Oh, we can't. We didn't have the capability. But years later, we developed the capability. We imaged the variations in the cosmic background radiation, and it matched that prediction of what we should have if Big Bang was correct. So that means that Big Bang could still be correct. But because of that, actually, I don't know. It would steady state have said that you can have that?
This is the whole everyone gets a trophy philosophy at its finest.
No, because Fred Hoyle...
You have this baseball game, and you guys both get trophies because you're all winners. There's no proof that you won the game. There's no proof that you lost the game. You're all winners.
The Big Bang proponents have not been shown to be wrong. They could be shown to be wrong tomorrow, but so far they've not. Fred Hoyle and the steady staters have been shown to be incorrect. their idea, their theory, is not supported by the evidence. So that's it, really. Look, I tell you what, if you're up for it, Kyle, I mean, I know you said it depends on time. I'm not sure what the time is with you. It's 20 to 11 here. What's the time like with you?
3:30.
3:30 in the afternoon. Because we've got a bunch of people here. Are you up for people coming in to have a chat? It's not arranged, so if
Sure.
Sorry, was that a yes? Sure, did you say?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, cool. Because just so everyone knows, it was not arranged with Kyle. And there'll be Kyle versus, so don't give them too hard a time. I've got a couple more super chats to read, and then I'll bring some people in then. Ted Lacoca, once again, and thank you very much, Ted, for $1.99, said, so never mind the black swan evidence you guys use. And Killer Cuts, super chat for £2, and I think Killer Cuts is having a pop at me. Killer Cuts says, stop being a namby-pamby to this airy-fairy sloth. They think I'm giving you an easy time, Kyle. Well, the way I look at it,
I would hardly say I don't have any proof as an easy time. Maybe that is an easy time. I don't know.
I'm aware, Killer, that there are other creators who, if Kyle was on there and we were having this conversation, either would have started swearing or called him names and so on. And that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's fine. I enjoy seeing that sort of thing.
You are more than welcome to disagree with me. I'm not going to force my opinions on you.
And I do disagree with you, Carl. I do.
Totally okay. That's totally okay.
Yeah, but it's just, I'm a different creator than them. I enjoy watching them and watching them rip shreds out of people. There is a certain amount of schadenfreude there, but that's not me.
There's no need for vulgarity or anything like that. It's just, hey, we are at an impasse. That's as I see it. Well,
that's as you see it, Kyle. Whereas I see I'm right and you're wrong.
Yeah,
okay. Okay. Let's.
Okay.
Oh, right. Ted has super chatted again. So never mind the black swan argument you all use. Because I was mentioned about the black swan earlier, wasn't it? I can't remember what it was. I mean, you know what the black swan argument is, don't you? All swans are white, but then you find a black swan, so therefore...
Okay, I'm like trying to think about this whole black swan argument that he's referring to, and I can think of Mark Sargent's black swan and being able to see too far.
Yes, he's saying because you can see too far, that disproves it all. But what he hasn't taken into account is... the black swan's been done to death anyway, but in the black swan image with the oil rigs, they were all distorted like crazy, all bendy, wibbly wobbly, showing that there was massive atmospheric distortion, refraction, which will change where the apparent horizon. Well, you could see further than on other occasions, but not too far. You could see that far precisely because of the distortion. And Killer Cuts has super chatted again for £2. Have you not... He is having a go at me. That's fine, Killer. Have you not seen the inept lies that he talks about you? Well, I have to say, I haven't seen... that's what Killer said. I would say, I don't know.
Well, first off, in order to tell a lie, you have to know something is wrong and say it anyway. And so otherwise, it's just being wrong. Yeah, there's kind of a certain level of... knowledge that you have to have in order to be telling a lie. Otherwise, you're just saying, oh, I said something, but I was wrong about that. That's not lying. It's just being wrong.
And what I would say is I have seen some of Kyle's videos. I've done response videos. I've called... Kyle has been on this channel several times, and we've had chats. I'd have to say, I mean, my opinion, Kyle, this is my honest opinion, okay? I think you're massively incorrect over a lot of things that you say.
That's totally okay. But
yeah.
You can't prove that I'm incorrect about anything, as you say.
Okay, but I guess that holds both ways. I think Kyle's massively incorrect about lots of things, and I guess that he thinks I'm massively incorrect. I'm happy to argue my case. I think I provide evidence to support my case and to knock Kyle's case, and I'm sure that he feels the other way. Now, if Kyle has done a video or posted something that's a downright lie about me, then I'd have to say no, I haven't seen it. So I'm not saying he has. I'm not saying he hasn't. I haven't seen it, Killer. If Kyle,
he's got me confused with someone else.
Well, that's possible as well. But
I sincerely consider you my friend, and I'm not. I don't do that about my friends. I don't even do that about enemies.
Well, Kyle. I mean, let's just say, for the sake of argument, you posted an outright lie about me. I would challenge you on it if I saw it.
Mr. Sensible has an afro.
I do. I keep it in a drawer with the rest of the wigs. Okay, let's get these guys in, because I don't know how long you can stay. So let me just drag them in. So we have the Stingray, we have Captain Welshie, we have Dr. Nimrod, who's on mute, we have Farmer's Boy, and we have Schmorka. Good evening, guys. Welcome to you all.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
That explains where everybody disappeared.
Right, so once again we got Captain. Oh, and Colon's brought himself in as well. Lovely, thank you, Colon. So we got Captain Welshie, Colon, Dr. Nimrod, Farmer's Boy, Kyle Adams, of course, guest tonight, Stingray, and Schmoker. Guys, I've talked the hind legs off a donkey. I'll let you have at him nicely in your own inimitable style.
If you guys believe that it can be proven that cats eat food, or some cats eat food, a cat eats food.
Define proof.
Yeah.
Find proof.
Define proof. What's your belief of the word proof? And then I can tell you what I think.
Evidence sufficient to establish a thing as true or to produce a belief in truth.
So that a cat eats. If it's sufficient for me, yeah, I mean, a cat can eat, but that's not a cause and effect. That's just something that a cat can do. So observing that it eats, as in something goes in its mouth, I can establish that beyond all shadow. Well, not beyond all shadow of a doubt, but beyond all reasonable doubt that is true. Yeah.
Yes. All right. One more. There we go.
But that's not science.
Common ground.
No, it's it's probability.
It's biology.
Well,
biology is science.
Well, I interact with the world based on probability. It is most probable that a cat eats.
This is true. I have two of them that demonstrate that to me. Yes, yes.
I bet it costs quite a lot as well, doesn't it, farmers?
Yes, it can do.
And I have had several cats that have eaten food in front of me, and I see other people's cats eating food in front of me, catching mice. Is that proof?
It's just simple observation, to be honest.
That's the foundation of science.
Yes, but Kyle, you're a disingenuous little prick.
Oh, calm down.
Oh, wait, okay, sorry, what did I just say?
You said that out loud. You are aware of that.
Did I? I thought I was muted.
No.
Oops.
No, Kyle, for the proofs thing, it's like, to me, you can't. There's no absolute truth in anything, and that's just my belief. But
absolute truth. So that's telling me you don't believe that cats eat food is an absolute truth.
I do not believe it is an absolute truth, because I cannot even commit to existence as I observe it being an absolute truth. I know that probabilistically it is beyond
scientific proof
all reasonable
that the
doubt
Earth is flat?
that it is true, and I can act like
my
it is.
answer is
because the
I have many
consequences
strong
of not
evidences
acting and it being
that
wrong,
convince me
the probability
that the Earth
is so
flat.
slim, and the consequences
Such
are so
as being
small.
able to see too far.
So,
now we're getting into the
my fish tank
questionality
laser
of reality.
experiments.
Well,
however,
if
you
say
you
this
would
reality
consider
is
those to
absolute
be
and you understand
proof
everything about it,
entirely depends
therefore-
on whether or not
I
you
don't
think
know.
science
well,
can.
that means
prove
every
anything.
foundational fact
I know
beyond
Forbes.com
that is also
did an
up
article
for
saying
question.
science
So
doesn't
to me,
prove anything.
there is no absolute
So
truth.
if you stand with that whole philosophy, then you've got to say there is no proof of anything. There is no proof that the Earth is a globe,
But that's
and you're
just me,
going to
and I'm in the middle
likely
of playing
say
the game at the
there is no
moment, so there you
proof
go.
that the Earth is flat. And if you don't believe science proves anything,
I'm streaming DayZ.
then
There
why are
go,
you even
okay.
asking me this question?
Here's a quick one. Kyle,
For
when
me,
it comes to food, are we going
science
to
is all
actually
about
classify
proving
everything the
things.
cat eats
It's
is
about
food?
putting things to the test.
It's
That's what
yes,
proving
I can
means.
come up with the definition.
When I hear in
for
the
food.
Bible it says,
Okay.
Prove me now
So
herewith,
is
and see if I will not
grass-
open the windows of heaven unto you and pour
Okay,
you out a
so is
blessing
grass
that there
food
be not
for a
room enough
cat?
to receive it.
If it's eating
That's saying,
it and
put me to the
it is
test.
actually gaining
And
sustenance
there
from
are
it,
many
then
tests
I could say
that we can
by
do
definition, yeah.
concerning
Is
the
it
shape of
providing
the
energy
earth,
for it,
such
promoting
as
growth.
the fish tank laser experiments.
Well,
And
most people
that's
who
what I'm
have
all
cats,
about.
and I'm sure Farmer's Boy
So
will
tell
agree
me,
with me here,
do you
that if a
believe
cat
science
eats
proves
grass,
anything?
it's going to throw up.
Yes. And they will quite happily eat grass.
So you're saying it's not nourishment, it's not digesting it at all?
Correct.
Definitely not.
So,
not eating
yeah,
grass for that.
So I
They don't
acknowledge
eat
that there are
grass
some
for
things that can
nourishment.
be considered food or not. And so here I could say water, for example. That's something that is drunk, and that's part of the definition. It's nourishing substance that is eaten, drunk, or otherwise taken into the body to sustain life, provide energy, promote growth, etc. That is the definition of food. So if it's drinking that water in order to sustain its life, then that water can be considered food.
Yes, but does it get sick water after it drinks it?
Does it get sick from the water that it drinks?
Yeah.
It could. It could. There's
If it
that
drinks
whole
too
thing.
much, I mean, if it drinks like everyone else, if it drinks too much water, obviously it will get sick. But the water that it drinks just in normal amounts, the cat won't get sick. Whereas it eats the grass to actively get sick and get stuff out of its stomach.
Hmm?
I have watched cats do this. Grass is not a food that cats naturally want to eat because it offers no nutrition to them.
I'll have to back you up on that. Obviously, I've got a couple of cats. They will, and actually dogs do as well, but cats in particular will go out, nibble some grass, come in and hock it up all over the living room floor. and you've just got like a ball of spittle and grass. I do have a couple of super chats to please quickly read out. Ted Lacoca again, $1.99. Oh, the cat experiment is the black swan. Second best Bob, thanks Bob, for £5 says, is Kyle still teaching his children that the earth is flat? I'll let you decide if you want to answer that. Kyle, are you teaching your children?
Absolutely.
Okay. And Killer Cuts for £5 again, thank you Killer, says, so Mr. S, when Kyle laughs and agrees with his confident overtones on Ballbusters, you're okay with that? Sad lad. No Kyle, no confusing you lad with anyone else, I guess. I have never ever watched Ballbusters because they're about 4-hour streams. I didn't even know
watch that either.
So you've not been on it?
Globebusters. I'm not.
Ballbusters.
I'm not on that panel.
Oh, you're on Globebusters then?
Yes, I'm on Globebusters.
Oh, perhaps that's what he means.
Is Oakley's mob? Isn't that Oakley's mob?
Goodness knows.
Oh, I can't.
I don't know. So, Killer, I don't know if Kyle is the person you're thinking of. I mean, let's assume if he is. I haven't seen it, so I can't comment.
I think he was trying to be snide.
Well, but thanks for the super chat, Cuts. I appreciate that. So, what about some of those other thoughts or things I mentioned about Ptolemy, for instance, with his explanation for the movements of the planets and the Earth being the centre of the universe being superseded, even though it was actually, at the time, a very good explanation. So, would any of you guys have considered Ptolemy's thoughts as proven?
No. It was his interpretation of the evidence that they had at the time, and that's pretty much what science is. You know, we observe things and we test things and we come to conclusions that match what we see. And as we've seen throughout history, quite often what we think we know at the time turns out to be wrong. And that's how science works. It's constantly improving itself and finding out new information and all sorts of things. And some things just haven't been overturned. We was talking amongst ourselves earlier on about Newton's laws of motion. They still work. They still apply. There's nothing wrong with them. We send things into space using them, you know, but they're hundreds of years old, and we've got Einstein and everything else. But Newton's laws of motion still work. Is it? Oh, yeah. Mm. Exactly. Yes. And that's pretty much what happened, wasn't it?
Me too. Yeah. I don't. I try not to be a troll myself. I do my very.
That your cat eats food. I am not willing to take that your cat eats food as an absolute truth, because an absolute truth in our reality cannot exist for me.
Okay, and I accept that.
Cool.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I have rebooted, so hopefully the stream is coming back through again.
Stream is a bit delayed and being a bit weird.
There should be about
YouTube,
there should be about a 30-second delay anyway.
but I think it's updating.
Okay. Might need to refresh.
Yeah, there you are saying you have rebooted, so
Yay.
it's on its way.
Yay. And I'm just loading the channel. So hopefully everyone out there, we are back again. Those guys carried on chatting. Delay anyway. Yeah, looks like we're back.
You'll get
Good.
confirmation. I can hear us now.
Cool. Okay, let's carry on.
Purple snowdrop say back. So yeah, we're back.
I was just talking to someone, and they said that they can't accept anything as being absolutely true. They said that, my cat eats food. That's not an absolute truth for them, and I just said, okay.
That was Stingray you're talking to.
Yeah. So
in case you get confused with all of us.
Yeah, just to summarize, all I said was, there's no such thing as an absolute truth to me. But belief and absolute truth have got nothing to do. Well, have got very little to do with each other in this sense. Belief is just the point of which I'm willing to risk being wrong because it's most probabilistically true, and if it isn't, it ain't going to hurt me that much, and that's it. So I can believe something without knowing that it is an absolute truth.
And that, to me, in the dictionary, is defined as faith.
I could say faith, yeah.
This is why science doesn't require belief for it to be true.
Because it's most probabilistically true, and if it isn't,
it just
ain't gonna
is
hurt
true,
me that
no
much.
matter whether you believe it or not.
I wouldn't say religious faith, by the way. I would just say faith in something. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I agree. I totally agree on that. There's a distinguishing factor between that.
But wait a minute. But just so that you don't actually paint me with the wrong brush here. Religious faith is very different to the faith that I have in your cat, for example. So religious faith is the belief in something without a compelling reason or evidence to think that that is true. Whereas if I'm presented with that as a scientist, I do not believe in that because the evidence and supporting information doesn't get anywhere close to my standard of evidence. So the bigger the claim, the bigger the greater the standard of proof.
And so evidence is defined as proof, though.
No. Evidence is just something that supports a proposition of something. Proof is I don't believe there's proof is evidence that is the determining factor for a truth, I would say.
Okay, so you're just tossing out the first definition of the word evidence. Okay.
Oh, well, thank you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah,
you can hear me? Great.
but I was muted. I'll just say to everyone out there, I've got Ted Lacoca in the room now, and I welcomed him and thanked him for the super chats. Welcome, Ted.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sensible. It's by the way, it's Iacocca.
Iacocca, sorry.
Iacocca. Like Lee.
Oh, that's why Chris Durham was saying about I didn't know what he was talking about. Sorry, I thought that was Nell.
No, it's not a problem. I don't take a lot of umbrage.
Good. Well, there's nothing deliberate there. So what's your take on all this evening then, Ted?
Well, I think one of the main points for me was the fact that he posts on his board here. All right, my main argument is a very simple one. It's a very simple argument. Who's talking now? I'm sorry.
I can't hear anyone else. I only hear you.
Oh, no, it's me repeating to myself at a lag.
Right. Yes. So you probably either need headphones on, or at least turn your sound way down.
Yeah, I have the headphones on, and I'm turning the sound down now. So thank you.
Okay.
So on his board, he states, if William Harvey had just nodded along with the expert of his day, adhering to the consensus in his day concerning the human circulatory system, do you agree he would have fallen victim to the bandwagon fallacy? So he's stating that we can't rely on consensus because we would be falling victim to the bandwagon fallacy. And what is proof other than an agreement on consensus?
What is proof other than an agreement on consensus? Proof has nothing to do with whether or not someone believes in something. A consensus is a majority opinion. So whether someone believes in something or not, that exists. That's independent. Sorry, that's something different than what reality is. Reality is the independent factor, and belief is kind of the dependent factor, I guess you could say. That can change. People can deny reality, and so yeah.
Well, I understand. That's what I'm saying. People can change. So proof states that people can't change.
Proof states that people can't change.
You just said that.
When did I say that?
What did you just say about consensus?
Word consensus means a majority opinion.
If it's proven, does the majority have the same opinion?
You don't have to.
Well, if it's proven, then what does proof even mean if it is not the majority consensus at the time? And if it's not the majority consensus and it's proven, can it be proven wrong?
Okay. So I guess you are right that by the definition of to produce a belief in truth.
No, there's
so
no
if it's not producing it.
There's either you have
I just go to the dictionary
that is supported or you have a truth that is not supported. Belief in truth is a personal value judgment. But the two things, the dichotomy of is either there's support for the truth or there's not support for the truth. Or one side has more support and other side has less support. The idea of proof as a belief is an internal process. It's a judgment call. And science, I don't believe, is supposed to be a judgment call.
Science is not supposed to be a judgment call. So we try to do our very best to eliminate our personal opinions.
So belief in truth would be a personal opinion, yes?
Belief in the truth is personal opinion, yeah.
Okay, so what you're saying is belief in the truth is a personal opinion.
Whether you choose to believe in something or not is a personal choice.
Very good. So choice is involved in the belief in proof. You see what I'm saying?
What are you saying?
You just told me that a belief is a choice, and you said you believe in the proof, so therefore you're making a choice about what the proof is.
Okay.
I'm saying that proof is either supported or unsupported. The more support it has, the more it tends towards it. That's what science does. Science tends towards an idea that has more support away from an idea that has less support.
Support being proof, right?
No, support is not proof. Support is there's a lot of evidence for this.
Evidence
Meaning
is defined as
I
proof.
can have a lot of evidence that this person that I'm looking at is alive or not alive.
Evidence is defined as proof.
No, it's
Now,
not.
evidence, I have evidence that this person in front of me
Definition
is
number
alive.
one.
I have evidence that they're alive. They're doing things that other living people do. But if I find evidence that supports they're not alive, maybe they're a robot, but they're a really good facsimile, then this is not proof. This is just evidence that can be weighed and balanced against each other. Proof is very specific. You're saying proof is like definitive, right? And then you just explained that you have a belief in proof, and you just explained that a belief is a choice. So you're choosing to believe in definitive proof of something, whereas science is saying there is no definitive proof. There is just more evidence for one side or more evidence for the other.
Okay, so I'm trying to kind of put these pieces together here. You're saying evidence is not proof, and so you're denying
That's what
the first
everybody's
definition
saying,
of the word
Kyle.
evidence.
Everybody
Except
is
for the
saying,
dictionary. Except for the
yes,
dictionary.
but everybody in science is saying that. Everybody who is in science is saying that. Everybody who has studied science and performed scientific experiments with very exacting proportions.
I agree that the consensus is there is no such thing as scientific proof. That's been
And
my opening
you
point from the
just
beginning.
told me that proof is a belief.
Proof is a belief. No, I said proof. Did I say that? I'm trying
Yes,
to think
you did.
here about. Okay, proof is something that produces a belief.
Doesn't matter how you phrase it, it's still a belief.
Something that produces a belief.
Yes,
So,
but many things can produce a belief. A belief has no foundation in what is true. It's just what you think. It's just what your opinion is. So whenever it's attached to a belief, the belief is an unstructured thing that has no definitive ability or unfalsifiability, because if you believe it, nobody can tell you different.
okay, so sticking with cats eat food. Okay, that's an observation. Okay, and you can choose to
That's great. It's an
believe in that observation or not. So it's the observation. The observation is the proof. Whether I choose to believe in that proof or not is a choice. Okay. My
fine.
belief in
Your
that
claim-
observation is separate. My belief in that observation is separate. So there's the facts. Okay. There's all. That's all. Proof.
The facts are your observations, right?
The facts are the observation. Okay. I am
correct. Very good.
Yeah. Watching. I can feel this cat eating. I can smell it. There's the food. I can smell it. The smell's gone after it eats it, and I can definitely smell it when it comes out of the cat.
Eat food. Do cats ever not eat food?
They do go through periodic fasting.
Okay, but do they ever eat things that aren't food?
They eat things that are not food. Yes, they do.
Okay, so cats eat food is a very poor example of a hypothesis.
It's a perfect example of an hypothesis.
Well, I just disproved your hypothesis in two ways. Cats sometimes don't eat food, and cats sometimes eat things that aren't food.
Yeah, but they still eat food.
I understand that, but you can't prove that every cat ever has eaten food.
No, I can't prove that every cat ever.
Sometimes there are cats that.
So that's why I go with very specific. I can go my subject group. Okay, this subject group of cats. Okay, it's all about the basic foundation. I can even
Okay,
just
well
say,
then that's
I
a
could just say
different hypothesis.
my
That's
cat.
a different
This one cat in
hypothesis.
here.
That's a different hypothesis, and you're trying to relate that different hypothesis to other concepts that are universal. So you're using a very spurious logical connection here because you're saying, okay, I'm going to change my goalpost now and say that my cats. So that's not stating the universal, which is one of the statements you made on your channel saying that, okay, so I don't believe that you can prove the globe Earth, but I do believe you can prove the flat Earth using the idea that we don't believe in proof, but you do, and it's only your choice of what you're going to say is provable. So this is much based on belief, and it's not based on any evidence, because the evidence shows a much larger evidence for the spherical Earth than it does the flat Earth. And I think that is
You don't believe
fairly
in any kind of
demonstrable.
proof.
Fairly
Evidence is
demonstrable.
defended as proof.
I'm sorry, but colloquial language is the way that most people interact with the world. So if you're going to be very pedantic about the colloquial language that most people use, then you're going to run into problems with people's scientific versions of those same words, because they do have different meanings, as Mr. Sensible tried to explain to you.
Okay, so you don't believe that the very first definition of the word proof?
No, I do not
is
believe the
colloquial?
very first definition of the word should be, because there are many definitions of many words that came out long ago that have very different definitions now. Language is an evolving thing. And if you don't believe that, then how do we have so many different languages that have evolved?
The most colloquial is, in my experience with dictionary.com, they put the most colloquial words as number one, and then they take the most archaic definitions and they put them at the bottom of the list. And so,
okay, yes, colloquial and
definitions
archaic are two things, but scientific and modern are very different than colloquial and archaic. Archaic and colloquial is what is in the dictionary.com vernaculum, okay, that lexicon that they have. But the true lexicon also involves technical words and technical language, which actually the English language is much better at than most languages, because it actually has more words than most. So it is one of the most technical, which is why French and English are the science languages, because they're two of the most technical languages with the most numbers of words. Do you understand the etymology of language?
Not entirely. I can say that much. So,
okay, well, I think that there's a lot of things that you need to look into, like the etymology of language, the philosophy of science, and basic physics. That I
agree. I like looking into that stuff. I make a lot of my arguments based on looking into that kind of stuff.
Start looking into it, because you've had several arguments about Newton's laws where you said Newton is wrong, Einstein is wrong, but you're telling these geniuses they're wrong based on a lack of education of the subjects that they were involved in. Because let me tell you,
by all means, feel free to prove that I have a lack of all these knowledge, and prove that I am wrong. And if you want to prove that I am wrong, my guess. But by doing so, you're going to prove that proof exists and that you do believe in proof.
Look, if I accidentally use the word prove because of my vernacular education and the word that comes to mind when you talk about such things, and people in the realm of science would understand the difference. If you're not understanding the difference, then I am very sorry about that. It's not my fault.
It's like the use of the word theory.
Right. If I use the word theory as a vernacular, then I'm not using it as a scientific thing. Okay. And I'm sorry that sometimes it slips.
And this is why I point so much to encourage people to define what they mean when they say a word.
Understood. And we have
defined what definition are you using? By which definition are you using? So I always ask that.
We have defined what we mean truly by a theory is something that has a lot of evidence behind it. We do not mean it's a proof. And when we say proof in science, most of the time what we're talking about is the preponderance of evidence. The preponderance of evidence, just like the preponderance of evidence for bloodletting back when bloodletting was happening. For certain scientists, they thought it might have been a proven fact because it worked so often for them, until it didn't work for somebody else and it was disproven. If there is something such as proof, then how do you go about disproving it? Doesn't it make it harder to advance
part
science?
of this show where I talked about the double-sided coin. There's two sides. You can't disprove something without proving something else.
Yeah, and that's exactly what science is. And the problem is that why would you even call it proof as a definitive thing? Because you're trying to define proof as different from a preponderance of evidence. You're trying to say that proof is something more substantial than a preponderance of evidence. But at the same time, you're trying to also have your cake and eat it too.
What point did I say that? What point did I say that?
Well, then what is your point about proof then?
What is my point about proof? Well, I bring up proof because a lot of people say, "Oh, well, flat earthers
Science can't prove anything."
Science can't prove anything. That's a huge argument right there. Science doesn't prove anything, and that's the mainstream view of things. And
yeah,
so
and you just agreed with it because you said that you should be able to disprove things. So when we say science can't prove anything, we're saying that it's always open for debate. Do you agree?
It's always open for debate. Just because something is open for debate doesn't mean it can't prove anything.
But if something is proven, there is no debate. It is absolutely cast iron correct.
And you're trying to make that distinction. You're trying to make a distinction between preponderance of evidence and proof. Can you tell me in your own words, what's the difference between a preponderance of evidence and proof in your own words?
Evidence is proof in my own words.
A preponderance of evidence versus proof in your own words.
Just gave you that.
Tell me again, please, because I must have misunderstood it.
Evidence is proof.
Preponderance of evidence.
Preponderance of evidence is
preponderance of evidence.
A large amount of proof.
Amount of evidence.
Proof. Evidence is proof.
It's not
they are
proof
interchangeable.
because
You asked me what my definition is. You told me to use my own words, right? You asked me to do that. I gave you my own words, and you're telling me, no, those are not your own words. I'm sorry. Those are my words.
I said you are disagreeing with the preponderance of evidence idea of a theory and saying that science can prove things, and science is saying, no, we only have a preponderance of evidence towards a theory.
My words. Okay?
I'm asking
Don't get
what
mad
is
at me because I'm telling you what my words are.
Okay, I'm asking then what is the argument between what you're saying and what science is saying?
What is my argument? Say it again.
What is your argument between if science is saying there is a preponderance of proof for theory or a preponderance of evidence for theories but never proof, and you're saying that science can prove things, then where do we disagree really? Because if you're saying that proof is a preponderance of evidence and science is saying that if there is a preponderance of evidence for a theory, then there can be evidence that can take away from that and make it less valid. And maybe we will change our mind about it until there's a preponderance of evidence for something else. So what is the dichotomy? Why are you disagreeing with science in this sense?
Why am I disagreeing with science? I am
Why
disagreeing with science because I
believe
my cat
why are you saying science can prove things, and then science says no, we can only have a preponderance of evidence about a theory, and you're saying, well, no, that's a difference. You're saying there's a difference because you're saying you disagree.
I disagree because I don't deny reality.
That's not the answer to the question I asked.
You asked me why. I told you why.
I said
you're
what's
upset
the
because I'm not answering the way you want me to answer.
I'm saying
that
what's
is my
the
answer.
Difference? You're not answering the question.
That is my answer.
Difference?
That is my direct answer to the question.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you repeat the answer? What was the difference?
I disagree because I don't deny the existence of reality. That is my reason.
Who are you? How are you basing reality? What is your explanation for reality?
My explanation for reality is something which exists. I can give you the definition of reality if you want to.
Okay, so because
the state or
something
quality
exists,
of being real.
It's reality. But you're saying that reality that you experience, you're saying that's different if you have a preponderance of evidence for the theory about it and if you have proof for it. You're saying there's a dichotomy there. So therefore, if I see something with my eyes that is there, but it looks different than it is, Well, what does that mean? If proof is reality and reality is sometimes very confusing, then what does that mean for proof?
Proof can sometimes be confusing. That's as simple as it gets.
And might that also be relative to the preponderance of evidence for a theory that can be shifted because of different understandings of our reality, because we sometimes can see reality different because we invent new tools to see reality?
Again?
If you're saying proof is based on reality, and you're also saying that
I said reality is proof.
Reality is proof, so proof is reality. Reality and proof are interchangeable, and you're saying that proof is also the preponderance of evidence in a scientific theory, and you're also saying that you can disprove something. So you're agreeing that the preponderance of evidence for a theory can be chipped away at with new evidence. New evidence can be brought about that shows us our reality is different than we saw it with our bare naked eyes. So therefore, new technologies can bring us a new understanding of reality and therefore change our proof, in your words, which we call preponderance of evidence, of the scientific facts that we understand. Did I get that right?
Sorry, was that a question?
I was trying to explain your viewpoint as far as you've explained it to me. Were you not following?
You have kind of a way of going on, and you're hard to
I have
follow.
kind of a way of logically stitching together ideas, and I'm sorry, should I slow it down?
That might be helpful.
Okay, let me slow it down. My mind works pretty quick.
Points.
All right, so you say that there is proof in science. You have agreed that proof equals reality, and reality equals proof. You have also said that proofs can be disproven, which you've supported by your idea with the board.
You can say that this does not exist. That can, yeah.
No, but your guy on the board, you didn't say this didn't exist, but it changed the way we looked at biology, right?
No one can see the board that we're talking about.
Okay,
so I think everyone's kind of left out of context.
It's
here.
the William.
I don't know what you're talking about because I'm not looking at the same thing you are right now.
All right, I'm sorry, I don't have.
You're referencing things that no one here knows, and so they're missing.
I thought you would know it because it's on your board. So
there's a lot of things on my board.
I'm sorry,
there are thousands of things on my board.
I feel like you're trying to change the subject, so let's get back to it.
I'm not trying to change the
subject. Let's get back to it. You wanted me to slow it down, so here it is. You think that proof is the same thing as reality, right? Proof and reality are the same thing. You said that things can be disproved in science, which matches up with the idea that a preponderance of evidence for a theory can be chipped away and changed at to have a new theory about that same very thing. I said reality.
That's where you start going really fast again.
Sometimes, okay, I'm sorry.
Proof is reality. That's one thing.
Proof is reality. Proof is reality. Then you also said proof equates to preponderance of evidence of a theory, because proof can also be disproven, and science says the preponderance of evidence can also be chipped away at.
Disproven.
What's
reality
that?
Can't be disproven.
No, but you said proof. You said you can disprove things, which means proof can be disproven, correct?
Proof can be.
Did you say that you can disprove things?
Reality can't be disproven.
Okay, so you said you can disprove things.
But slow down. Let's calm down.
You said you can disprove things.
Things can be, things can be disproven, yes.
So if things can be disproven, then in your vernacular, reality can be disproven. Because you just said proof is reality.
Oh. Proof is reality. Reality cannot be disproven.
Is my logic wrong? You said proof is reality. You also said things can be disproven. So therefore, in your logic that you have stated, reality can be disproven.
No.
Well, then where am I wrong? Explain to me where I'm wrong in my logic, please.
Just because, okay, so if you want to say my cat never eats food.
No, I don't want to go with an example of your cat and this and the other thing. I'm asking you.
You asking me?
Kyle,
I'm going to tell you. Okay.
Kyle, hold on. Let me restate my question, please.
You want to know how?
I'm just saying there is a indisputable logical chain pattern between the definitions of the words you've made and the words that you've put together. You've fully defined proof and reality and disproving. You've fully defined all those words, and you've said proof is reality. You've equated those two words, and then you've also said you can disprove things. So therefore, in your logical explanation of those very definitions of the words that you have given us, how can you disprove reality? Because if A equals B and B equals C, then doesn't C equal A?
I just told you reality itself cannot be proven. If you want to claim that cats never eat food or my cat never eats food, then I can disprove that claim and disproving that claim means I can show that claim is not reality. That is what disproving is.
What claim is not reality?
My cat never eats food. Okay? That claim is not reality. When I disprove that claim, I am showing that is not reality. And so
when you're disproving what claim it's not reality?
My cat never eats food. Okay. That is a claim. My cat never eats food. Okay. And when I say I can disprove that claim, I can show that claim is not reality. That's what disprove is. Show that is not reality. It is the opposite of reality. Disprove. And so we can break down the word as you were encouraging to do. Look into the meaning of words. Okay.
Disprove. Hold on. So you're saying we can disprove reality only in the negative?
No, I did not say that.
Of one claim in particular. Because you just said that proof is reality.
Proof is reality. Okay. And
but then your example was non-reality and a disproving of that. Because you don't observe your cat not eating food, right?
I don't. Sorry, you're not making.
In reality, do you observe your cat not eating food in reality?
Sometimes, but I can't say never. My cat never eats food is a really big claim. So that's the claim that I can disprove.
Then you have to make your claim specific, don't you?
That's why I said my cat.
Because you're changing the goalposts again.
I didn't change the goalposts at all.
Yes, you did.
Not at all. Okay.
You said proof is reality, so therefore, when you have a proof of something, you know the reality. But you've also said you can disprove reality. Which means
I did not say that. You're inserting words in my mouth. You are misrepresenting me now.
You never said you could.
You are misrepresenting me now. Okay.
You never said you. Hold on, Kyle. You never said you could disprove things.
I did say I can disprove things. I can disprove the claim that my cat never eats food. Hold on. Okay, stop talking over me.
Hold on a second.
Hey, no, because calm down.
Kyle, you're trying to go left when we're trying to go straight. You just said,
guys, sorry, I had to unmute myself. If we can just try and take it back a notch, okay?
All right, I'm sorry.
No. Listen. I'm not cross with everyone. It's when people get into an argument, they can get overexcited. Well, that's fine, but we'll just step back a bit because we'll keep it friendly as it was. As long as people want to.
That, and thank you. I get very excited when.
That's all right.
Hey, look, it's hard to hear two people talking over each other. So one person at a time, mostly, is the
all right.
request,
Thank you.
I think.
Sorry. Go on with your explanation. I'm very sorry, Kyle.
I said that claims can be disproven. I didn't say those claims are all reality.
Okay,
claims can be disproven. If you want to claim that my cat never eats, if you want to claim that my cat never eats food, that claim can be disproven. And when disproving, I say that I am showing that is not reality, and I can show that is not reality by providing an example of my cat eating food.
Okay, Kyle, but you said there are scientific proofs. You claim that there are proofs.
There are scientific proofs. My cat
scientific proofs.
Sometimes eats food is a scientific proof.
Okay, in those scientific proofs, can those scientific proofs be disproved?
Can my cat eating food ever be disproved?
Whatever your idea of a scientific proof is
reality itself cannot be shown to be not reality.
Okay, what and you already said that. Now you've equated that proof and reality are the same again, right?
Did not say okay. Proof is
you
reality.
You just said reality can't be disproved, and you're saying that there are scientific proofs. So what I'm saying is, what can you disprove anything?
You can definitely disprove anything. I just gave you an example of disproving something.
No, you said I could disprove a claim. I'm saying, can you disprove a
claim is a
scientific
thing.
proof?
A claim is a thing.
You're saying that there are scientific proofs, right?
There are scientific proofs.
Okay, those scientific proofs that you believe exist, can they be disproved?
No.
Okay, so what you're saying is you believe they're proofs. So it's a belief, which we've gone over before. So it's your opinion that there's a proof. And you're saying they can't be disproved, so we can't disprove your opinion about something. Because if that's the way science worked, then how would we progress just like many of the scientific ideas that people had in the past they thought were proofs, but have been disproven? And also, our view of reality has changed because when I look at my hand, I don't see cells. But when we developed the ability to bend glass to our will and make microscopes, we did see cells, and then our reality changed.
I am doing a series, as you're aware of, on a textbook where I just go through the textbook and I look for the foundation. Now, someone else can say, "Oh, well, this
can't be in a textbook."
Foundations can absolutely be in a textbook.
There's hundreds of years of foundational information that goes into the scientific process of writing a textbook. If you expect that all those hundreds of years of foundations are going to be in there, that textbook is going to fill up several library shelves.
Great.
And that's what a textbook should be, several library shelves?
Well, that's where you break it down into several books. And so instead
and that's what a textbook is. A
books.
Textbook is one of the rudimentary breakdowns of that entire lexicon of books put into a form that younger people can understand in grade school and middle school until they can progress to reading the whole lexicon themselves, at least in a certain scientific endeavor, to understand it fully.
So with math, we start with the very basics. We start with 1 + 1 = 2. We talk about addition and subtraction, and then we build on that. And so we kind of establish that foundation of...
Yeah, we don't talk about trigonometry.
We don't teach that to first graders, yes. But in science, that ends up getting flipped upside down. You start teaching complex concepts without establishing a foundation.
Okay. Here's a foundation. Do you understand what the computer is in front of you?
Yes.
You can see it. It has a screen, right? Does it have a screen?
I just told you yes.
Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. So it has a screen. Does it have a keyboard?
Yes.
All right, so about this computer, I can describe to you on a rudimentary basis, just like math, that you have a keyboard, and these are the alphabet letters on it, and this is what happens when I type the letters. It appears on the screen, and I can tell you that it's made of plastic and that the glass, and it's all from electricity. Now, if I want to go into the details of how the computer works, is that rudimentary? Do I start with how the computer works? Or do I start with what the computer is made like and what it can do? Where do I start? So do I start with the rotation of the planets and things we can observe in the macroscopic, or do I start with quantum theory? Do I start with the mechanics of how things work because of the forces of nature, which are actually 4 forces, which we've discovered along the way and we've been able to quantify? Do I start with all that, which has a lot of complex math and a lot of complex understandings of 3-dimensional space? Or do I go with a simple model, just like the computer in front of you is a simple model of communication for your modern world? But if I want to explain to you how things are coming through the computer, it's going to be very, very difficult to explain from that perspective.
Science, I start with the basic observations of things.
Okay, fine. And that's what we do with the universe. We start with the basic observations, and then we get into the other things. The basic observation.
The sun is 93 million miles away is not a basic observation.
It is now, Kyle.
No, it's not.
Just like
you want
the
to say that,
basic.
I accept
Okay,
it, okay.
all right.
Okay.
Is there a basic observation for you that when you flip a light switch, there is electricity that's going to your light and then coming back and forming a circuit? Do you understand that basically right now in your life?
Is that a basic observation?
Is it a
Flip on a
basic
light?
observation that you have now in your life?
I don't see the circuits involved.
Okay, but
in
do you
flip on a basic
understand that that's
observation.
what's happening?
I understand that's what's happening, yeah.
Okay, you do understand that's what's happening. That's the same way that science books utilize that basic understanding to springboard into more concepts that are difficult. I'm not going to start teaching you about ohms and about volts and about watts and how to use those to determine whether or not you're going to overload your circuit board in the basement, because I'm going to first go with what you know about it, that there's electricity going to the light. I'm going to start with that, and I'm going to build from it. That's what science books do. That's how we teach. That's how I teach. There's no other way I could teach. I'm not going to start teaching a third grader the basis for rotational mechanics because his head's going to explode. Do you understand that?
I understand you've got your own belief, and I got my belief. And
I don't have a belief. I have something that's based upon a preponderance of evidence. What you have is your idea of proof.
You don't have a belief.
You've already said equals reality, and what you've already told me is one of your beliefs. These are your words, Kyle.
You just told me that you don't have a belief.
No, I don't have a belief. I have an understanding of a preponderance of evidence that seems like that makes the most sense because it's rational, logical, and the math and the predictions of the model come out right. When I'm doing electrical work, when I do my construction work over the summer, because I teach usually during the rest of the year, I use my knowledge that I learned so that I don't burn houses down and electrocute myself.
Why do you teach all these things you don't believe in?
What are you talking about? What don't I believe in that I don't teach?
Kyle, I think you're using the vernacular for belief.
This is the vernacular thing. He loves to fall back on the vernacular.
From what Ted's saying, he understands all the deep down intricacies of electrical circuits and as he said, amps and volts and whatever stuff. He doesn't have to believe it. It's known science. We know that.
I know it works.
Exactly, he knows it works. We know the equations that work and would tell.
You know things. That's no longer a belief in anything.
I have an expectation that these things will work out 99.999 repeating percent of the time because that's what the preponderance of evidence has shown me. That's what my personal experience has shown me. That's what experiments who have made predictions about the way the world works and about the way you're using your computer right now. Because if the theory of ohms to volts to watts wasn't sound, then there'd be no way to produce such tiny circuits in your computer to make it work the way it works. All that stuff has to be understood within so many zeros behind the decimal point of error, because we're talking about microchips that are becoming microscopic. So if these theories don't work out, if science doesn't work out the way that science says it works out, then nothing that we have today works. And the fact of the matter is we're coming away from this discussion where you're saying that science can prove things, and then you're saying that proof is reality, but you're also saying that things can be disproved. Then I am very confused of your position because it sounds very wishy-washy.
I don't think I can help you there because you don't believe in any kind of
proof. No. There's no belief here. I've broken this argument down very succinctly. I've repeated my position many times. I've repeated what you've said many times about the positions that you've stated. And I've given it to you slowly. I've given it to you fast. I've given it to you in different examples. And the whole thing right here is you're going to change the subject into, well, it's your belief. And no, because you just said there are things that can be proven. And you just said that's
I can turn on my TV and I can prove that it works.
So. You just said that you say a proof is a belief for you. You've admitted that proof is belief for you.
Now you're inserting words in my mind.
I have not said that I believe. No, I did not. I asked you directly.
I am done talking to you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. I think right.
Calm down, please.
Right. I think at this point that let's move. It has been a really interesting discussion. I do think that you are taking the word belief more along the religious lines, Kyle. That we believe stuff. For instance, I said about elevators earlier on. I don't have to believe that I'll be all right in an elevator. I have a trust in the design, which is based on science. It has emergency brakes and so on that are tested, and that we know that they will work. So I am not concerned that the elevator cable will snap and I'll plummet to my death. It could happen. These things could fail, but I don't have to have a belief. I have. I know that lift designers know what they're doing. I know they've studied it. They've run tests. That they'll have tried maximum loads on lifts and so on. That they'll have tried failure scenarios. Do the brakes work? Do they work under enough circumstances to be worth fitting? And so on. And so I don't have to worry about it. I don't believe that a lift will get me from floor 1 to 154. I don't have to have a belief.
He's got evidence for it.
Exactly. I have evidence. Every day, millions of lifts go up and down without killing people.
Statistics.
I have a phobia of lifts. I have a phobia of lifts, and I don't believe in the science that is true about the fact that they are extremely safe, because I have an irrational fear of reality for lifts.
And that's a belief.
And I know I'm wrong, and I admit to it all the time. I don't understand why people who are wrong can't admit to it.
I've had a super chat from Tornagown for $8.99, $8.99 New Zealand dollars. Thank you, Tornagown, saying flat Earth is an idea fixe. I think that's how you say it. A firmly held irrational idea or belief that is maintained despite evidence to the contrary. Delusional obsession. Kyle, I do want to just ask you a question. Okay, it's not at all related to anything with this. Okay, there was that discussion earlier on when I think it was Killer Cuts made a few super chats and was saying about ball busters, whatever. Now I don't know if he has confused you with someone else. Okay, but I did say I would ask you about this. There was a comment, the super chat he said when it mentioned about kiddie fiddlers. And I must admit, I'm surprised, but I'm putting this to you, okay? Did you say on Ballbusters or Globebusters or any other channel, actually, that you weren't surprised my daughter lived in Australia because I had been inappropriate? Was that you that said that?
Oh, no.
I must admit, I am totally surprised. I think he must have confused with someone else, and I did have a message from someone who mentioned about the Ballbusters crew, who apparently really hate me, and I wouldn't put it past some of them to say things like that. But I was a bit surprised. But I did say I put it to you and give you, and you know, I'm glad if that's not you, because
I don't talk like that.
No, I didn't think so either, and that's not been my experience. But of course, I don't watch the channel, and you know, so I just thought I'd put it to you. So thank you.
I couldn't believe Kyle would say something like that.
But do you have evidence? Can you prove it?
I can't prove it, but from watching him in debates I've watched him in, I don't think he'd go around saying stuff like that about people.
No, and actually, perhaps that can bring it full round. I don't think so either, Kyle. Based on the evidence of my interactions with you, okay?
I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, that there is nothing that indicates that. So my theory would be that Killer was mistaken over who it was. I can't prove that, and maybe it was you, but I don't believe that.
I wasn't even aware that you have a daughter. I wasn't even aware that you have a daughter. So
yeah, Kyle, it's okay, mate. I'm not sort of cussing under my breath or whatever. I was pretty damn sure when I asked you. But thank you for that. Okay, guys, this has been an interesting stream. I'm so sorry to anyone who's still out there watching, and it's still 75. Thank you very much. Bearing in mind the issues I've had with my PC, I think I'm going to have to give it a good looking at tomorrow and see if I can get it sorted, because even reboots, although they were they were reboots rather than close down, leave it for 30 seconds and boot it up again. I don't know what's up with it. So sorry for the issues on the stream tonight, although thankfully the voice is okay.
Mr. S, I think you're not the only one in the UK at the moment who's having trouble with internet. I was watching According to Isa earlier on, and she was also having troubles, as am I.
And
being on the British Isles.
And
so.
Flatzoid in South Africa, he was having some issues as well. But my problem is I was actually having issues on Streamlabs desktop and even moving my windows around at one time. If I just try and drag a window now, it's not moving across smoothly. My PC's actually busy doing something. I have no idea what. I do virus scan and that, so I'm not aware of anything like that, but I'll give it a good checking tomorrow.
I think it's just amazing that I'm here in America and you're over there in Britain, and we are doing this fairly simultaneously, which is awesome.
Yeah, can I ask Ted roughly where? I'm not asking you to dox yourself.
All the time.
I'm not asking you to dox yourself, Ted. But what sort of area of the states do you come from, if you don't mind me asking?
I am in northeast Pennsylvania.
Okay. Oh, that's
northeast to middle.
Okay, so I don't do
Eastern
politics on this channel, but that's one of the hot states, isn't it, for the election?
Yeah, unfortunately, it is. A lot of people. Well, I mean, it's tough. I mean, politics is tough because I'm a centrist, so you know.
And do you know what's tough for me?
I'm a teacher, so I want funding to get more teachers into the classroom so that we can combat ignorance and we can be there for the kids to support them, because they're going through a lot of changes with all this stuff with COVID and everything and the shutdowns. Like, they need us. They need a rational and caring adult to be in their corner and tell them that they're doing a good job and they're smart kids and they're capable and they have the ability to do whatever they want to do.
Well, I don't think anyone could disagree with that.
Yeah,
but
hopefully
they can't.
There are people out there who will.
Yes, I'm sure.
Well, there's some teachers that will too. At the same time, it's tough. You know, like the kids need to be cared for, and they need some caring. And there's a lot of teachers that are just like, sit down, shut up, and it's tough. It's really tough. But hey.
That's the tragedy of the world we live in, is too many kids aren't parented anymore, and they just pawn their kids off to the public education system.
Well, it's not just
the parenting they get these days.
There is a fine line between what the schools should take care of and what parents should take care of.
But the
that's
parents
been battled for years in Ireland.
Yeah, the parents are struggling too. You know, the parents are in a situation where they're undercut in a lot of ways, and they're in a place where it's hard to make ends meet. So you can't blame the parents, you can't blame the schooling. You have to, you have to blame the fact that we just, schools the government wants to throw money at technology and smart boards and curriculums and all this stuff, when all of us, all teachers, we all agree, especially in the inner city, give us a piece of chalk and a piece of slate on the wall and more teachers, and we will get the job done like you don't believe.
Oh, I know that 100%, but who are the people who are voting in the politicians?
Yeah, the politicians are being controlled by the corporations that want to sell more stuff because it doesn't make them more money to pay more teachers. So that's the problem.
Get out and vote.
Yeah,
change
get out and
if you want change.
Vote.
Yes,
to really make change go and become involved in the process.
Yeah,
absolutely. I agree with that thoroughly. Nobody has the right to criticise what any politicians do if they can't be bothered to get off their arse and vote.
Exactly.
So I hope it all works well. As I said, one thing I find really hard is I am fascinated with politics. I get really heated. I've been very, very closely following all the stuff in the States, but, but I don't bring it to my channel. Because
sorry, I was just...
No.
I was advocating for teachers. I apologize if it got political.
No. This is sort of meta politics. It's talking about things in general, but I'm not going to talk about left, right, Republican, Democrat, Conservative, Tory, Labour, whatever. Yeah. Just in general, yeah.
I'm down the middle. I'm here for human beings.
We are.
Yeah.
We are. Anyway.
The best for everybody. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Sensible. It's very nice to have you back.
Yeah, and it's good. It's good to be back because I had quite a break. Just to let you all know, tonight I was in the side chat of Flatzoid's stream, until one of his mods blocked me. I've let Flatsoid know about that, and I should be having a debate with him. That's not a date's not planned. We're thinking about a week. But also, I do have some news about the debate I posted on my community board with Austin Whitsitt and Jeranism on Modern Day Debates. I know not everyone's a fan of that channel, but it will be mirrored on mine as well.
I watch it occasionally.
Yeah, a tag debate, and I said that I have a very popular debunker. I was trying to get to tag with me against Jeran and Whitsitt, and it looks as though it's all a goer now. We've finally managed to be able to sort out a date. It should be the 17th, midnight UK time. I think that's 8 p.m. Eastern time. My tag partner will be Culture Cats. Oh yes, Conspiracy Cats. He's coming back.
Excellent.
Yes.
Nice.
So myself and Cats, we're slated to debate Whitsitt and Jeranism. I've never seen Jeranism debate. Someone said he did do one about 5 years ago. So
should be interesting.
Interesting indeed. So I'm looking forward to that.
There's a lot of weird, lots of just constructed reality going on. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, and Cats is wonderful. And hoping that we'll make a good team. Should be fun. So please, people, keep an eye on my community page, because I will update with news of that as we get closer.
If they turn up.
Well,
and don't start fire and rage quit.
Yeah. Well, if they rage quit, that's them lost, isn't it?
Exactly.
Mr. Sensible,
Yes,
I would like to say right now, thank you so much for inviting me into the stream. I enjoyed your channel for quite some time now, and some of the other channels. I enjoy the banter. I enjoy the silliness and your trips and all that. So thank you very much for inviting me. And
thank you for joining us, and thank you for the discussion with Kyle. I do realise from both sides it got a little heat. That's fine. We just we'll step in, dial it back a bit, carry on, and that's great. So I appreciate both you Ted and you Kyle for having that discussion. I did find it very interesting. I know people did in the chat as well. So thank you.
Yeah, the only problem I had was that when two people are talking over each other, it's really, especially if they're screaming and shouting, it's very hard to hear what the other person's saying.
I do apologize if I was part of that, and I sometimes I don't think I heard when he was talking because my volume seems low on my iPad.
Yeah, and it happens. It happens when we're having these discussions that people talk over. It's not always deliberate. I mean, I think you can tell when someone's deliberately trying to shout down someone, and that's wrong. Okay, so thank you very much. A big thanks to everyone who super chatted tonight, all my members and patrons. I will run the outro reel, but I don't know if it's going to run. I'll give it a try anyway. So, yeah, thanks a lot for everyone for joining me. Thank you, those who have been here and have gone, whose names now escape me, but currently we still have Dr. Nimrod, Kyle Adams. Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate you coming tonight. Are you okay, pal?
I'm doing good.
Good. And to Ted, new guest on the channel. So I hope you'll come back again sometime, Ted.
Definitely will. Always enjoy it.
Brilliant. Right, well, what I'll do is I'll just chuck you guys into the waiting room and I will wrap up. So thank you very much, Dr. Nimrod. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
And to Ted, thank you for joining us.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Very welcome. And Kyle, I really enjoyed it tonight. I did. I thought we had a good discussion.
I think we did.
Yeah. and although obviously between you and Ted you were disagreeing and it did get a bit heated, I think it was good-natured both sides. I don't think he was trying to be horrible to you. He was just arguing very forcefully from his position.
Yes.
Cool. And I hope you'll come back again sometime.
Absolutely, anytime.
Excellent. Well, continue to let us know as you do videos, and then if one tickles my fancy, I'll do another debunk of one of yours.
I typically get a new video out every week.
Okay. All right. Well, you take care, and all the best to your family as well, pal.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll put you in the waiting room as well. I'll be in there in a minute. Cheers then, Carl. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So, everybody, as I said before, thank you so much for sticking with this, with all the issues tonight. I will try and fix things tonight. Tomorrow. I'm not going to be doing it tonight. So hopefully the next time I'm live, and certainly it's got to be fixed before that debate. Hopefully things will be back to normal again. Take care of yourselves. Look forward to seeing you all again. All the best and stay sensible.
Mr. Sensible, Mr. Sensible, bring me some cheese, and get me only the best if you please. Here are some flowers, let me display them. Name it to one or you have Arnold slay them. Mr. Sensible, you are a man. Every subscriber is a faithful fan. Bring your logic and your cheese, Mr. Sensible, help us out please. Mr. Sensible, I need a proof of gravity, so I jump off the roof. It's hard enough, let me go further. Why was I ever such a darn flat earther, Mr. Sensible? I'm such a clown. I am the laughing stock of the town. Bring your logic and your cheese, Mr. Sensible, help me out please. Mr. Sensible, bring me a sphere, to which the waters of the oceans adhere, add explanations, but let me be candid. So clear that all the flappers understand it, Mr. Sensible, please hear my call, the earth is not flat, so let's have a